Well, it is good to be back on the Thomas Take Sports podcast. You want to know why? Because it has been a little bit. Of course, trying to figure out this kind of setting that this is on. Wondering why it's not full screen, but nonetheless, I got a guest coming on the podcast today, Mike Dicioccio. Very excited to have Mike on the show. He'll be joining me momentarily, but safe to say that we got a lot to discuss on the podcast tonight. Here he is. Mike, how's it going, bud?
How we doing, my man? Appreciate you having me on.
Of course. You're dressed for the occasion, which is all that matters.
It still pains me, man. This one's going to take a really long time for all of us to get over. Just the fact that it was Game 7. All the momentum, the scoring chances, the opportunities, everything was laid out perfectly for a magical Game 7 moment, and they weren't able to pull it off. So
to get into it right away, did you feel when we were down 2-0 that they were going to tie it, which they did tie it, and then did you feel as if they were going to win? Like, that's how I felt. Like, okay, this is setting up to be a storybook, ending to the series.
Well, the fact is they won that way against Boston, once or twice, and I think they won that way. I know the first game, were we losing in Game 1 against Montreal and then came back to win 4-2, or were we up the whole time? Do you remember Game 1?
I don't remember. I'd have to look that up. I know they were losing Game 1 against Boston with 8 minutes to go.
I think it was 2-0, and then Tage had that wraparound goal and kind of sparked a little bit, and then there's that second goal, and then all of a sudden they took over from there and with 8 minutes to go. But as far as Montreal, I don't remember. I think Game 1, the Sabres pretty much had in hand, and it was kind of like Montreal was a little bit jet lagged from the previous Game 7 series where they just fought their hearts out against Tampa. But to answer your question, did I think in Game 7 when we were down 2-0?
You still with me?
Yeah. You got me or not?
Yeah, I had you for. I lost you for just a quick second. Repeat what you said there.
Yeah. So to answer your question, how I felt about the Sabres being down in Game 7, 2 goals to none, did I believe that they were going to come back and win the game? And later in the game, did I have a gut feeling that they were going to win? So the first part, I believed that they could get back into it. Obviously, being down 2 goals, I was concerned because I was thinking more about the goaltender situation, where if, UPL lets in one more, now are they going to go back to Line? Line just looked his worst we've ever seen him ever.
Right.
The night before, where he let those weird 3 easy goals in and basically got yanked from that game. So, I was more concerned about where do we go from here if it's 3. So I was kind of worried about that. Like, we cannot let this get to 3-0. Like, we need to at least make it, 2-1 and then fight through in the rest of the game. I was I know it's cliche, but like, let's handle getting that first one, one at a time. Got to get that first one in. So I believed that they would be able to come back. They showed that they could do it against Boston, and they had that 8, they were down what? Was it 3-0, and then they won? It was 3 to. It was 3-1, 3-1, and then they scored 7 unanswered goals.
Yes, yep. Game 6 in Game
win,
6.
Yeah, just 2 nights earlier to win 8-3 on Montreal ice in that ridiculous arena, right?
Right.
And so if they could do that, I'm thinking they could absolutely pull this out. Do we want them to continue to have that be their playing style, where they're down multiple goals and then they have to basically turn into Popeye and eat some spinach, right? And pop back into it. But I felt when it was like later in the second and their momentum started to go crazy, like the Sabres were really the better team for that second half of the game, halfway through the second and even into the third. Scoring chances were way higher. Hits were, you look at all the stats, and if you only looked at the stats, you'd say the Sabres won that game. But that only stat that counts is goals, right?
It's goals.
And so I believe that they could do it. In my heart, obviously, I felt they were going to do it and could do it. But my Buffalo, I just had my 40th birthday. My 40 years
Happy birthday. Buffalo, happy belated.
Thank you, man. My 40 years of Buffalo fandom felt like I was really preparing myself for the dagger. And I was just
Yeah.
thinking, the guy who scored, what was his name?
Newhook.
Newhook or whatever.
Mhm.
He just seemed like the villain that was going to do it for me for some reason. Like, I know he's not one of their top goal scorers. I don't believe he
Right.
is. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But who's their number 13? Caulfield. Like
Caulfield's
that's the
the
guy who
guy.
you
Right.
kind of expected. Like if it comes down to one-on-one, Caulfield in the open, that's it. We're gonna get burned. But for some reason, the guy who ended up doing it, I had this weird hunch that he was going to be the villain. And we lose the game, but it wasn't on a great shot. It wasn't, UPL wasn't out of position where it's like, oh, how can you blame the guy? He got twisted around and he didn't have an angle. It was just a shot on. They just put the shot on net and he couldn't get it for whatever reason. And that's what we were like. The Sabres were doing that, but nothing was bouncing right. Like there were no bounces off of Dobic's pads. Tage with that toe drag, like I know it's worked before and he's done that move, but he's got to either shoot it halfway through the toe drag because the 5-hole looked open to me, shoot it halfway through the toe drag, or look like you're doing that and you got Benson wide open right there, and Benson was hot, so you think he'd put that thing in the back of the net. So that's what I envisioned being the game winner, and I think a lot of people voiced that as well. And it's just crazy and nothing bounced our way there. Plus, you got the kicked in goal, which I absolutely believe his foot went forward. And if I think it was the other way around, if that was anybody on the Sabres kicking in a goal, I do believe it gets looked at least. They didn't even want to look at it for an extra second. Where is it? In Toronto, right?
Yeah, in Toronto, their headquarters. Yep.
No additional look at a goal that, I mean, you're in game 7 here. Everything should have been looked at unless it was directly, blatant, but that was close enough for me where I want to look at it. And then the other one was the frozen puck quick whistle. Now, I know the rule. If there's a frozen puck and you hit it underneath the goal or the goalie's glove and you're messing with them, that can be interference or it's going to be called back. It was a quick whistle, though. That's the problem. I have a problem with when the whistle was blown. I didn't think he held. Like, there's times I noticed even where the whistles were very quick on icing. Did you notice that?
Yes.
Where Montreal, the second the puck, I mean,
uncharacteristically quick.
there were 2 icings where I'm not even sure the puck was over the line yet, and they were blowing that thing dead. And then there were times when like Samuelson's like skating after one to try to beat it out. He doesn't get there. And then the puck hits the actual board, so it's over the line, hits the board, starts wrapping around, and then they blow the whistle. And I'm like, all right, there's a 2-second delay on icing there. You're quick to blow it for Montreal. So obviously, I mean, that's seconds, but milliseconds in a hockey game is super important in a close game. So I don't know. To me, it just felt like the refs were real happy on their whistles for Montreal, right? And but I'm glad it didn't come down to a game where there were a ton of chippy penalties like there were a couple games prior. That was super frustrating. I kind of felt like the refs did at least let them play. I don't recall any penalties where I felt like it was egregious or favoritism or anything, but I thought the whistles were too quick for Montreal. And if they didn't blow the whistle there, which if they would have just waited, normally it's kind of like a 2 count, right? It's like hold it, count, whistle. This was hold it, whistle.
Right.
There was no hold it, whistle.
There was no count. Yeah.
If they did the count, like it's WWE, you got to go 1, 2, 3, pin.
Right.
Like if there was any kind of normal cadence to it, the puck does come out. Now I don't know if they would call it back because he was whacking at it under the glove or not, but that one I can live with. The one that I don't like is the foot, the kick in.
Yeah, the kick in. I went to a spot that's really like one of my favorite spots in Amherst. It's called the Amherst Pizza and Ale House. Shout out to them. They had me kind of on their videos and stuff too while I was there, which is really cool. And it was a full house, packed place. They played Better Days. They played Bush, all the old intros, the Rock You Like a Hurricane. Like they were just playing them all leading into the game with like 5-10 minutes to go. I felt like putting on a hockey helmet and putting on some hockey pads before the game. And the lead into it was great. The first period wasn't so great. They tied it up in the second. The third was really just kind of a dog eat dog period, and then that overtime. To your point, I've watched this goal probably 5 or 6 times, regretfully so, and that was just a lazy kind of knuckle puck shot that just kind of caromed awkwardly underneath UPL, and as a shot that ended their season.
Yeah, I'm sure he's thinking he's preparing his right shoulder for a quick shot. He's thinking about protecting the 5-hole and everything, and then he kind of gets a knuckle puck. But you still feel like you got to get something on that.
You got to get something on it, right? Yeah, you got to get something on it.
Something. I mean, redirect. Some people thought it hit one of the Montreal Canadiens' hands. Like, I don't know what player it was, but it looked like it was possible, but I didn't see it. The redirect of the puck. Did you see if it redirected or not there?
No, I didn't see it redirect. I felt like it just was one of those shots where, and as well, what created the moment was kind of a miscue from Dahlin and a fan on the puck from Tage when we were in their end. And then Montreal goes the other way with it, and they go what would be right side of the ice to the left side of the ice. And if I'm looking at that right on the TV, maybe it'd be the opposite, but either way, other side of the ice, Dahlin's got to go all the way across. And when Dahlin comes across, that's when the puck comes across, which kind of moves in with UPL. And then UPL's kind of moving with the puck, but he can't see it. It was almost as if Dahlin was like a side swipe screen for UPL, because when the puck was shot, where UPL was looking was not where the puck was. You could see that even through his goalie mask. So
yeah,
it was a frustrating goaltending. I think goaltending was really frustrating. No,
it never should have got to that, because the reason that he possessed the puck was because of sloppy play on our part, and it was because Dahlin was just totally winded. They put him in there, and I understand you got to play your best guys and overtime, and they're gassed. But I feel like maybe if they manage his time a little bit better, I don't know who else you would trust there, but he was just so winded that a little bit of sloppy stick handling is all it took for the turnover, and then they got in late to adjust to that, try not to get a penalty there. I mean, that would have been bad too, but you let in the goal. And so, and if you want to talk about stick handling, what the hell happened to Tage Thompson? That guy went from stick handling like friggin' masterclass, right? Like black belt level karate style, like quick hands, to whenever he had the puck, I got nervous when he didn't pass it or shoot it in 3 seconds. I was nervous. I mean, when he did that little loop-de-loop, I think that was in the Boston series, maybe.
Yes.
Loop-de-loops, and like he's spinning around on ice like he's doing figure skating. Like, what? I don't even know what's going on there, but I'm sure he had an injury. I don't know if that's come out yet, because obviously
he did. I guess he had a really bad lower back injury, which, I mean, for a guy with his kind of reach, I didn't really see him reach a lot to try to take the puck away, which I know is a huge part of his game, because that's a skill set that not many guys possess as a centerman or as a winger. Being 6'7",
right? 230 his game. He covered a lot of ground. Yeah,
right. So he wasn't really able to do that. And it kind of makes sense. You know what I mean? It kind of makes sense why he played a little bit tentative and almost looked like he was thinking too much out there. Didn't look like he had played hockey. In some moments, like, what is he doing? Like, why is he making these kind of rash decisions?
A lot of times in the last couple of games, he wasn't taking those shots that he normally would. And I really liked him being by the side of the net where you can dump it down to him. And one of his biggest things, and he did this, I think, in the Olympics with one of his goals, or maybe multiple, but where he kind of hangs out by the goaltender, and when they're passing it across, on a power play, the guy at the point can either shoot it or dip it down to him real quick. And then he's so good stick handling it where wherever the goalie has the slightest spot, he can hit it. Like he can hit it, So like, and a lot of times he goes to the upper left corner there. And I was waiting for that to happen, but they were putting him back at the point where, and he wasn't really shooting it, whether it was the injury or confidence or what. But it definitely seemed like that impacted him. I have some notes here pulled.
Sure.
He was -9.
Wow.
in the series. Despite he did have 4 points, he had the 2 goals and 2 assists over the 7-game span. Not great, but he at least produced. You got Tuck actually was -8, so
Mhm.
not as bad, but bad because he had 0 points.
Right.
Like Tage at least contributed to 4 points within the series. Still not what we expected. We would have
Right.
expected what, maybe 10,
Right.
like the way he
Maybe 8 at a low number,
yeah.
8 points
Between
or
the 2
9.
guys, though, 4 points between those 2 guys is insane.
That's horrible. Yeah.
Like we're expecting again between 2 guys now 15 points, something like that, between assists, even if they weren't the ones scoring, like they're usually in on a lot of talk. I don't know. His accuracy went from being an asset to being his worst, you know.
Yeah, and that's a real good segue because Mike, as I came on, introduced the show. I hope I pronounced your name right. Is it Dicioccio? Did I say that right?
It's all good. It's Dicioccio. It's easier
Dicioccio.
than you think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Dicioccio. That's a lot
Yeah.
easier. All right. I was making it too difficult for myself then. So that's kind of going into my next question. Now, like, even though we're only a couple days away from the Sabres coming up short in game 7 here, 2 days removed, I've already kind of turned the page a little bit because now I'm looking at the season as a whole, and this was a remarkable season by the Buffalo Sabres. Nobody could say any different. I mean, to go from being a cellar dwelling team for 14 years, missing the playoffs year after year after year, breaking this drought, which it's another, Buffalo sports drought that Buffalo fans had to endure, which was pretty rough with the Bills, and it was even
17 years with
rougher.
the Bills and 14
Right.
years with the Sabres. Yeah.
Right. It might have been even rougher for the Sabres, depending on who you
there's a
ask.
lot of overlap in those 2 periods of time.
There are, yeah. So my next question, kind of, to segue here, how does this Sabres team look different? How the Sabres team could look different in 2026? You mentioned Alex Tuck. He's kind of a hot button topic right now with how poor his playoff play was. We talked about Tage Thompson. Tage Thompson, he came out and said that he had an injury. They asked Alex Tuck the same question today, and he said he was not hurt. So that's even more concerning that Tuck wasn't hurt and came up with 0 points. Tage was hurt and had 4. So the big question now is Alex Tuck, UFA, unrestricted free agent. Do the Buffalo Sabres bring him back? And would you bring him back if you're Jarmo Kekalainen and company?
All right, let me preface it with this. My podcast is not a sports podcast, so I'm a Buffalo fan through and through. So anything I speak today, I want you guys to know I did some prep for this, knowing that was going to be on the show, but this is not something I cover. And the Sabres especially. I'll share a little bit of my Sabres fandom, but I'd say I know more about the Bills. I can rattle off some crazy Bills facts and stats and players, not as much on the Sabres side. So I want to admit that I'm maybe not someone who, you'd want to get your Sabres takes from, right? But I experienced this whole push from, when was it, December 9th until game 7. And I watched every game from that through those periods of time. Like once I saw that the Sabres were cooking, I think everybody started to tune in. And maybe that you want to list me as a bandwagon, fine. I'll tell you why I wasn't as tuned in. Over the last handful of years, when the Sabres were as bad as they were, it got to the point where it felt almost like not deserving, like the GM, they weren't getting rid of the GM, which was frustrating because everybody wanted him out. They finally did this year. Once Lindy came back, also that's what got me interested again, because I felt like now you have a competent coach. You're like base level competent coach. You got some players I liked. I already liked Tage Thompson and a few of the guys. I like Tuck. And I thought some of the moves were good. I was keeping an eye on that, but I wasn't watching every game, admittingly. And right around, that December 9th turnaround time when it was like, wow, these guys look different to me, like the eyeball test. And I was watching it and fell in love all over again with just the fact that they looked like a competent NHL hockey team. And I know the river hockey style was fun, but they were even better than that. They weren't just kind of lucky and outworking you. They really looked special. I mean, I think it was March 8th, that game against the Lightning where they won 8-7, and the Lightning tried to turn it into a Royal Rumble. Yeah. And the Sabres were like, we're not just going to fall for it. We'll fight you if you
Right.
challenge us. But they beat him in skill.
They
And
did.
when I saw them beat the Lightning in skill, and they had a lot of other games like that, they were winning 5, 6 with 7 goals a night. You're like, they're averaging 5 goals a night. Like UPL doesn't even have to be great, and they're winning. and then Lyon comes in, and he was really like surprisingly great too. There's a reason he got time in the playoffs. It wasn't just because UPL wasn't performing. It was Lyon got there. Like Luukkonen has his moments, but he also had a lot of moments this year where it's like head scratcher. So I know your question is about where do I see the future of the Sabres. I just want to let you know on the map where I'm at as a fan.
Yeah,
so I very
love
much
it.
did tap back in this season. When I tapped in at 110%.
I know you did. I know you did.
I have a pretty good feel for the current roster. Now, again, as a fan, not a Buffalo writer or anybody like that.
Yeah, hey, fan first. That's what I'm all about.
Here's what I think makes sense. I don't love getting rid of Tuck, even though he totally underwhelmed in that series. I don't remember in Boston was he as rough. I felt like he was more around pucks and making some plays.
The Boston series, he was fantastic. That's my opinion.
That tells me right there that within a month he was polarizing. But this season he had a good season, and he is a leader, and the locker room likes him. And I don't think you just keep a guy around because the locker room likes him. That's too, if you're running a company, maybe you do that. But your performance is not based on just dollars; it's based on wins. And so you got to have talent, and you got to have guys you might deal with. You see it a lot in football with the Devo receivers and stuff. You tolerate them because they're going to come away with 1,600 yards and 14 touchdowns. You're like, yeah, we'll just let this guy do his thing. But I think with Tuck, like, unless you tell me who you're going to get for him and I see an upgrade, I don't just like letting him walk. I never liked letting a player go that has that much potential. I know the alternative is you're going to have to pay him a ton, but I think he's earned it. I think he's at that veteran status. I know he grew up where, in like Rochester area or Syracuse area?
Baldwinsville, which is right outside of Syracuse, I think.
He gets the Sabres deal. Like, he understands what it means. And I don't think it's that he wasn't playing hard. He didn't look like he was just sailing around on the skates.
Right.
Like, he was chasing pucks. And I also do think he was in a little bit of an unfortunate situation where he's so good on the power play, on the penalty kill, that a lot of times when you're on a penalty kill, you're going to have negative numbers because, you're odd man the whole time. So, and they've been very good at it, but they're also playing teams that are great on the power play too. So I think a lot of it was that. So he had so many minutes where he was, on the power.
Kind of fed into bad situations. Kill. Yeah.
Right. But when he was in the 5-on-5 situations, no lying. I mean, he wasn't as good as he needed to be. So I don't know. I think you got to look at more than 7 games to make that determination. Jarmo, right? He already sounds like they already had a meeting that went well. Seems like Tuck's probably staying. I don't know. I do like Jarmo though. I think again, what I said with Lindy is he brought you back immediate competency, like relevance. And I think Jarmo did that immediately too. Is like, this guy's not going to joke around. He's not going to be someone who's just going to blow smoke into a microphone on a podium.
Right.
Rah, rah. Like, yeah, we got beer sabers. And that's like the talk. Like, he doesn't care about any of that stuff. Like, he cares about winning hockey games. And, I know oddly, he wasn't the one who really built this team, but the team believed in him and they believed in the direction, and that makes a difference. And I know it shouldn't. I feel like you and I could sit here and be like, we expect the players to play every night, no matter who's coaching them and leading them. But you ever work for a company where your manager was an absolute, and like, you just performing for that person is
a lot harder.
It's a lot harder.
Yeah.
And it almost can be impossible if you don't believe that the leadership can get it done. And you're like, am I going to put my body on the line every night for a team that's kind of off the tracks with no engineer? There's no captain of the ship. It's tough. So I think once they got a captain and they already believed in Lindy, I think it was trending in the right direction. It's kind of like the Legos are being built and they took over mid-season. And now I think, you just need to tweak it a little bit. Again, I don't know who is on the market or who they're going to look at. That's not
I don't even know that yet. To be honest, I haven't gone that far
You're
into
not
it.
rebuilding this thing from the ground up. Like you got to make a couple moves. I think the biggest, maybe if you want to say, blockbuster move they can make is if they can get a goaltender. Because I really did like Lyon, but he ended up disappointing too. Like I don't, before his injury at the end of the season, he was like remarkable.
He was lights out.
And then he got injured, and then he came back and played pretty well in the playoffs, but he didn't look quite the same. So I don't know if
that's
that was
a good
the deal.
point. That's a good point.
Weird knee injury. You saw he didn't balance right, and he like hurt his knee. And for a goalie, a knee problem is not an easy one to come back from. So
right, he got crushed as well in the Boston series. He got ran into. I remember, and
laid
I
on
thought,
top of him.
man, he's going to be hurting. Right
so
after.
Who knows? But you know what? Without him, there is no Game 7, honestly.
Sure.
And without UPL standing tall like he did in Game 6, there's no Game 7. So both of them, had their moments where they really locked it down. But overall, I think you want to win it. I don't know that they would have beat, obviously, the Hurricanes. I think it would have probably been 4-1, 4-0, maybe 4-2, if you can get there.
And I don't even know if Montreal's going to beat them, to be honest with you.
I don't.
You know what I mean?
So. I expect the Hurricanes to lap them just because of the rest factor and and everything. But that could go the opposite direction. That could be a little cold. They can let a game slip away, and now does that bleed into Game 2 where they're not feeling whatever? But I don't know. To me, the Hurricanes handled both of their opponents pretty easily, right? So
they did. They swept them both.
I know they swept them both. I didn't watch the games though to see like if it was close games where they were winning or if they
there was like
dominated.
two games, one against Philly and one against whoever they beat in the next round. I can't even remember. But that's about it. They really blew out both teams that they played. None of the
what's interesting is I believe the Canadians beat them 3-0 in the regular season.
That is true.
Right? So the Canadians have the momentum with the head-to-head. But I don't know, man. To me, the Hurricanes seem like the team that's just going to steamroll. But had the Sabres played them, that's what I'm saying. Like, my heart says, yes, it would have been another great series. But who knows? My point in saying that is right now, we didn't expect playoffs. We got 2 rounds. We got a Game 7 in round 2. Nobody saw that coming. They fought. Right. They looked competitive. They believed in the coach. Lindy literally pressed every right button. When he changed his goaltenders, he did it at the right time. It's kind of like a manager in baseball. I know you're a big Red Sox fan. I'm a Yankees fan. We could still get along. But when a manager mismanages his bullpen, they could literally lose the game, even though their players they just made the wrong call. On the flip, a manager could push all the right buttons and someone gives up, they lob in a beach ball and the home run over the fence. It's like, well, the manager, you know what I mean? Right. The manager went to the right players and the player didn't get it done. I feel like Lindy pushed all the right buttons. He look at the lineup. I mean, he got a lot out of that lineup in Game 6 where it was all basically everybody was on a different line. And
he reshuffled every single line
and it
all worked.
Yeah, it works. So to me, they got the right head coach. They got a lot of core players. I really like Quinn. I like the way he skates. Who else is there? Doan,
Josh Doan, phenomenal player this year.
I think he could be even better. Again, if the other 2 guys on his line step up, Benson. I mean, we all like Benson for being a little bit. They call him the rat, obviously, for his grittiness, but the dude could score. He could set you up. He's always has a good feel for where he's at on the ice. So I feel like they got this really nice core. Hellenis came in.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Didn't look rattled as a rookie. Came in and he looked the part.
He's got a lot of speed to his game.
They got
especially
guys
down the center. Yeah,
they got defensemen. Stanley was disappointing. I don't know if he's old or not, but I don't know what his situation.
He's older. I mean, that's the thing. Everybody's older that they bring in compared to who they have. That's how young that core is.
You want experience, but you don't want old and slow.
Right.
He was just a different guy. You want your defenseman again. Here I am talking hockey like I study it, but I just know personally you want a good mix. You want athletic defensemen, but you also want some bruisers. You got to, someone's
You have to have a well-rounded core.
If someone's swinging at Tage Thompson, you don't want him getting in the fight. You want your defenseman to come in and wreck the guy.
And that happened last year, right?
Remember we had that in Peters? Like Peters used to just be, that's why he was even rostered, was so he could swing a fist here or there. What happened last year? I'm not sure the reference you're talking about.
Well, last year, Tage Thompson got just completely destroyed in a game. I think it was against New Jersey. And no one came to his defense. And that was like...
They didn't have a guy on the team.
They didn't have anyone to do it. Yeah, that's the point you're making. I definitely agree. And when you look at it...
a guy who he's not cement shoes in a game 7. And that's why Stanley wasn't on the ice, because too many minutes of cement shoes. And that was the thing, they started the acronym JFG, right? Just F and go.
Yeah.
Lindy was basically telling the guys, looking at the film, too much standing around. I mean, they were flat-footed. And
way too much hesitation. Yeah.
It was like they were trying to think what they needed to do. And it's like, you can't think right now. You just need to get the puck the hell out of there, because these guys are all snipers. Montreal, I don't care who has the puck. All of them could score. And they're really good cross-ice passers. I mean, that's the thing that made me frustrated. It's like Montreal needed 1 to 3 chances and they were going to score, and we needed like 10, because our river hockey style it's a lot more, dump it in, bat on the corner, someone's going to get open, pass, shoot, you might get it. But Montreal, it looks like they're doing it like they're drawing it like a basketball play more.
Right. They're a little more specific to the moment too.
Right. And that's what we still need. That's the one knock I have on Lindy, is he does love the dump and chase, it seems like, as a strategy. And I want to bring that puck in and set things up. And that's the one thing we got much better this year. It was way better. The years when we were in the drought years, like they couldn't set anything up they couldn't even accidentally do it. And we did it. Oh, how'd that happen? Like, they just had nothing going for them on offense. And now they have the players to do it.
Yeah, that setup style, like that kind of caters to like where they really came up short this playoff too, in a power play, where when you had that one-man advantage, they couldn't set things up as well. It's almost like they needed the chase. They needed
crazy? You need that chase, like you dump it in the corners, and they needed the momentum of everyone goes after it.
Of speed, right? Yeah. Right.
They were even doing that. They had 5 guys, and they would dump it in even when they didn't need to. Like you're saying, strategy-wise, they need
to do that.
It kicks off the boards, and then they start to set it up.
Yeah.
And so I don't know who our offensive mind is. That I don't know the coaches past Lindy, but it was you got the guy with the slicked hair. I'm not sure his name.
That's the guy. That's Seth Appert.
Seth, yeah.
Yep.
Like. I don't know. Is he back next year? Maybe I would see if we can upgrade there, because the power play was horrendous, and they got it a little better against Montreal, but it was kind of like too little too late.
Right.
And I think, that and the goaltending being so damn polarizing, where, Luukkonen is like just stuffing these shots, looks great, and then lets in a off-speed, wrist shot.
Right.
And it's like, damn. So my big upgrade would be if they can get a goaltender that they can lock in and give him some rest days, but he's your starter. I think that's what you got to do. I honestly don't think Dobich was better than any of our goalies.
I don't either. And they're giving him a lot of love in the national media for how well he played. And I don't think the chances we were creating were the best chances for a goalie to stop. You know what I mean? I don't want to even
flip the goaltenders, and Luukkonen's still playing.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I don't even want to mention them in the same breath as what they have. I listened to a very popular hockey podcast, and they referred to him as Hasek-esque, and I'm like, whoa, let's
for Dobich.
Let's pump the brakes on that a little bit here. That's way too high a praise, way too soon. But
not even close.
Not even close. Yeah, but
I mean,
all in all,
he had moments where he was good too, and he stopped.
Sure,
there's a reason that we didn't win 4 games, but it wasn't because he was lights out. I mean,
Right.
he let in 7 of those 8 goals. I know one was an empty netter,
Right.
but he let 7 or did no, I'm sorry. He let in 6. I think his
6 goals.
backup. It was 6 goals in. Then it was the empty netter, and I think then the backup goalie let one into 5 hole and kind of the dribbler. But needless to say, he's letting in 6 goals in a playoff series. Like,
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Yeah, I don't think Hasek ever did that.
I don't think I ever seen Hasek let in 3 goals in the same game, and I'm not even joking. Like, we were so bad offensively, we would win 2-1. You know, like that was our strategy. Can you imagine just being able to pluck a guy from the past and put him on the current roster? I mean, anybody would love to do that. Like Bruce Smith would be the guy I would take from the 90s, put it on this roster.
Good one. That's a good one.
That's the one player we would need, is that defensive guy that's just a wrecking ball on
Bruce
defense.
Smith would be number 1. Andre Reed would probably be, I'll just play devil's advocate, Andre Reed would probably be mine. You know, like just
I agree with that, because Andre's fantastic, but I feel like because we score 30 points a game.
That's true.
We might score 34 or 37, but you're still giving up 34 or 37. I need our defense to give up 24, and then I'm happy.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Multiple rings as fans. We'd have all the, but Josh Allen would have 2 rings right now if his defense could stop.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
24 or less. Like, look, man, I have, out of all the losses, the Kansas City ones were all tough. 13 seconds stung in a different way, but the one last year stung in a way where I was
against Denver. You mean?
Yeah, I was disappointed in Josh. I even regretted I sent some stuff. I was just really mad. I was like, he's going to be going right to the golf course and all this stuff, because I was just
wow, you were heated. Yeah, I get it.
I was heated because there's not a player in Buffalo Bills history that I love more than Josh Allen, as far as talent, the person, the guy, the guy that now he's the dad that he is, like doing everything the right way, saying the right things, but the way he plays, laying out his body, like, he just does it all. But at the same time, I just feel like if he could tune it up, it's like a freaking race car that goes up 250 miles per hour, but you just need it to be a little sharper on the turns, where you got to throttle it down a little bit. And if he can learn to just get in a moment where he's like, no, I'm not going to do this, I can throw it away here, and I'm not going to allow them to kick a field goal. If I fumble it, they get an easy field goal. There's like 10 seconds left, and they could do that. That's the stuff. I know mentally he gets it and he understands it, but there's this wiring, the Superman energy he has, where because he's done it in college and he's done it for 8 years in the pros, where he usually does make the play, but sometimes it turns into a turnover. You got to know in the playoffs, it's like you're better off not. If you take a chance and there's a 1% or greater chance of a fumble, then it's not worth doing it. And that's the one thing. I know Tom Brady could be considered the greatest quarterback of all time, but freak talent wise, not even close.
It's not even close.
Okay.
Yeah. Can't even compare them.
But if you put, like, when you play Madden, there's all the different attributes, right? Tom Brady's 100 out of 100 as far as making those decisions, the right ones at the right time. He wasn't perfect, but 100 out of 100 times.
That awareness, right? The awareness.
Yeah. And I think Josh has been working on it, but I was just more disappointed, almost like a brother or like a father, almost like of just like, just watching your favorite player and just knowing like, you got to be better than that. And at this point in your career,
you work so hard for that moment, right? Like he among all the players, he worked so hard for that moment.
That's why it hurt so bad.
Yeah,
he knew that everything went into it. Plus, the failures that they had in the previous years. Now this one stacked on top of it was just like, and they were all devastated, obviously.
Well, this is the first one, to your point, Mike, where Josh Allen actually played really bad. Those other games that you mentioned, he played pretty well, and they came up short. This last game against Denver that they played last season, he turned the ball over a lot. He fumbled.
I'll disagree with you partially.
Okay.
Because what's unique about that Denver game last year is that he played really bad, but he also played really good
to keep him in it.
They scored 30 points.
Right.
he made the throw to Cooks that he could have if Cooks
Well,
holds it.
that's the that's the call. That's the
I think that call is a 50-50 call. I literally think it's a coin flip. I can be mad as a Bills fan, but I'm telling you what, if it goes the other way and they call it for Buffalo, we're likely saying, yeah, it didn't seem like he had it long enough. Whatever. 50-50 call there. I do think they got it wrong just because I did see possession, knee down, and I've seen that called watching football my whole life.
You saw it from different angles too, kind of after the fact, right? Yeah.
So I think, majority of previous calls that were similar to that gave possession to the receiver. Now, all of that said, Josh played well enough to win. He made the throws. There were multiple drives, 30 points. This is what I was getting at with the 24-point thing.
With the defense.
If our freaking now I know turnovers put your defense in bad positions, but we watched the game. They didn't play well when they were in a good position or bad position. The defense was just not good. I mean, Bo Nix is a solid player, but he didn't have anything challenging. He's just like, if I throw it up,
he had time.
He just knew, like, I'm going to throw it up against Dane Jackson. I have no problem with this.
Right.
There's another one where was it Mims that caught a touchdown, and when he hits out of bounds, the ball's bobbled.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. Which that is like, did he make a football move for the touchdown?
Right.
You gotta possess the ball long enough and make a football move before you lose possession. That never seemed to get looked at either. So, but going back to Josh, like I said, man, I love Josh Allen. And if I didn't I now live in Philly. I don't know if you knew that, but I'm actually in Philly.
Wow, I love Philly.
I moved to Philly a year and a half ago to be closer to my daughter, but that doesn't change the fact that I run around in Bills gear and Sabres gear all the time. And
how old's your daughter?
She's 11.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Isabel.
Awesome. Yeah, shout out to Isabel.
Yeah, Izzy. So she's gotten a little bit into the Sabres. She was bummed when they lost, but not quite like us, But I explained to her, like, this is the first time that in your lifetime that they actually were in this position. So
that's a real good point.
Like, why haven't you showed me more Sabres games? I'm like, they haven't been.
There's nothing to show. Yeah,
they haven't gotten this far. And
she didn't miss much. Yeah, she tuned in at the right time.
But she does like the Bills, and she knows Josh Allen and everything. So it's been cool that she has. Just like we grew up with Jim Kelly and Thurman and all the guys, like, so she's got a good feel for the Bills. But what I was going to say there is, with Josh, it's like, if I didn't live in Buffalo my whole, up till last year, and have that Buffalo love, that's just, it's like a family member.
Sure.
Even when we were losing, I watched every Bills game because it's a family member. It's like watching your little brother at the playground. You're gonna tune in. Well, unfortunately, we watched them get beat up on the playground a lot, right? So that makes your love for them even a little stronger because now that they're good, it's like, okay, now it's our time to do some ass kicking. But my thing with the Bills and with Josh is it's just like he's just such a likable dude. And I feel like if I didn't live in Buffalo, if Buffalo wasn't my team and I lived anywhere, pick a city that doesn't have a team, I do feel like I would be a Bills fan. And I've actually talked to people. I got a couple friends, believe it or not, in the New England area that, they're like, man, we do love Josh, but like, obviously we're not going to root for the Bills to win, but we do like the guys.
Everybody loves Josh, I think. Yeah, I mean, I do.
There's these wackos on Twitter that, most of them are in Baltimore because there's like, you can't like Josh Allen if you like Lamar Jackson, apparently on Twitter. It's like, you can't appreciate both players. And I've knocked Lamar on Twitter in response to some of those knuckleheads because let's look at it. I mean, if you want to statistically look at it,
statistics don't lie.
Josh has been better than Lamar in all but one season. Last year, Lamar had what? Not this last year because he was hurt. The year before, he had 41 touchdowns. I think those are passing touchdowns. That was remarkable. And he hit 4,000 yards his first time in his career. But that's what I'm saying. It's his first time he's done it. Josh hit 4,000 yards like 6 years in a row or something crazy.
Right.
At least 5. And he's had
over 35 touchdowns.
35 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Over 40 touchdowns 5 years consecutively, which is an NFL record. And they just are like, oh no, it's 2 MVPs, and then Josh won an MVP, and they didn't want to recognize it, and they were saying that his numbers weren't that good, and you're like, Lamar won one with what, 24 touchdowns or something ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So but my point is, if I didn't live in Buffalo, I feel like the Bills would be my team because of Josh Allen, and growing up in Buffalo and the fact that they are my team, I'm super grateful that we have them.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's to the point where I'm just like, we got to get him one. And I know that sounds selfish, like it's not about one player, but who the hell's been laying out?
Who deserves it more? Who deserves it more? Right?
Yeah, we've had key players like last year. Jimbo comes on the scene. He's been good for a few years, but who expected rushing leader? That was phenomenal.
I didn't expect that. Yeah, I didn't
expect it, and it was great.
Right.
And that I tipped my cap to Joe Brady because he kept going with it. We've had play like Diggs, he was great. He did not make Josh Allen. A lot of people were like, "Oh, Josh stunk," and then he had Diggs. It's like, well, Diggs is gone. Josh won an MVP without him. And and the thing is, they both, if you could say the same about Diggs. Diggs was he won his only All-Pro while he was a Buffalo Bill. Guess who's throwing him the ball? Mm-hmm. So he's an All-Pro player with Josh Allen. Without him, he's pretty good, 800, 1,000 yards maybe. But with him, he's 1,500 yards, 10 touchdowns.
Right.
So
a lot of people too forget, and to add to this point, a lot of people forget that Diggs was in Minnesota and he was miserable there because they had James Cook's brother at the time. It was in his prime, right. Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
They were running the ball so much he wasn't getting the ball. He comes to Buffalo so he can get the ball from a Josh Allen. So that's my thing to add to your point there. That man, Josh Allen's done everything possibly that he could do in this league. But win a Super Bowl, but get to a Super Bowl. That's all that's left. Like
the only thing I can say, and I have a friend who knows Josh and his family pretty well. I never met Josh, but I did meet his dad, and I talked to his dad. And funny enough, I actually basically had this conversation with him, which is maybe embarrassing because it's like, what are you saying to Josh Allen's dad? But I was just saying, like I told him flat out, he's the most incredible player I've ever seen in my life. And the only thing, if he adds to his game, is those little moments that when Brady broke our backs all those years, it was just doing the little things right all the time. And it's just knowing, like, all we need is a 5-yard play here. It's a dagger. You don't have to go for the big play, or he doesn't have to run 40 yards, but get the first down, get out of bounds, go down, whatever it is. Don't. Last thing you can do here is turn over the ball. So you're better off just throwing it out. Whatever, those little things. That's it. And we're talking like take your 95 to 100. And then he's already elite. But I think, and I believe he's a Hall of Fame player. If he has a few more years like he's had, I think the numbers already get him in. But we're at the point now where we want a Super Bowl. We always did, but I think those are the differences in winning those playoff games. And so now I expect him to do it. And so as a fan, my expectation is, Josh, you've done it all. The only thing I need to see you do now is not make those boneheaded plays. Like the defense wasn't better than you. You caused the issues. And so clean up your own stuff. And obviously he knows all that, and the coaches know all that.
Right.
Let me ask you this. How are you feeling about Joe Brady overall?
Man, this is a good one. So here's where I sit with Joe Brady. I'm asking myself this question because this is where I sit along with you, I think, with the Josh Allen kind of narrative with his career. I think the only thing really left for Allen to do to, kind of cement himself is to win a Super Bowl and everything. We're talking here now about how he could do that. And this is where I think Joe Brady could actually help. Because most quarterbacks, when they win a Super Bowl, they usually win it with an offensive-minded coach. And I think that's where the league has kind of transferred itself over
recently,
the past,
because historically it's always
5 to 10 years. Yeah,
defense wins championships, but the league has gone to this like high-flying offensive game recently.
The Sean McVays, the Kyle Shanahan.
Can't play defense anymore. Like they touch a guy, breathe in a guy, it's a penalty. So it's really
you got to go the other way.
It's not offensive. Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's be real. I liked McDermott. He grew on me. I didn't like him at first. The first year we got him, I'm like, this guy doesn't. Remember, with Lindy, I said we got back competence. Like I didn't. He had to earn all that, and he did.
Yep.
He consistently was very good. he got better as a coach. He was super uptight. He got a little looser with the guys. He's doing Snow Angels with Josh a couple of years ago. I'm like, he gets it. He's finally clicked in. And all he had to do then is get to the, Super Bowl and then win one. He was a couple steps away from it. And I didn't like when they got rid of him. Sorry if I totally hijacked your point, but like, I didn't like the fact that the way that they
did it.
Can they just have someone else talk for Pagula? Because even if he had a good reason to do it, he doesn't know how to articulate the fact that he had a good reason. So he may have said it in a way that made it sound worse, but basically saying he fired him because the players are crying and emotional after a playoff loss, I think is a bunch of horse, you know what? So I didn't like that from coming from the owner of the team, and then him admitting it out loud. Like if you think that, that's not something
it's terrible.
You don't say that.
It was a PR nightmare, and right after that,
come back and lie. He's like, I'm not someone who's saying I like truth, I like transparency. But in that moment, if your real reason is
fluff it a little, yeah.
If your real reason is the guys are crying in the locker room, and I didn't believe this coach could do it. You gotta have someone stop you and say, you're not going to say that on air in front of the whole world, are you? You got to at least say you thought about it for multiple. What was it? 24 hours, 48 hours. You got to be like
48 hours.
You got to say
48
you got to
hours.
say you mauled through every possibility before you came up with that. Like, no, he just said, it was a trigger reaction. I saw him crying and I said, this guy's gone. Like, it was horrible. So I was not happy about it. That said, we just said offenses, the high flying offenses are winning Super Bowls, and you still need defense to win. Look at what the Seahawks did last year. Right. The problem is, McDermott, you are a defensive guy. And so if you're
and to your point about the Denver game,
30 points, 33 points, 34 points against Denver, against Kansas City. In the regular season, you're losing games to a first time. I know he's not a first time head coach, but the first year that Vrabel is a Patriot again, you lose to him. You're supposed to be the big brother now, and you let the new guy come in and just take over right away. And that didn't
win the division. Well with me. Yeah, win the division and lose games that New England won.
When you holistically look at all that, I think it was okay to get rid of McDermott, and I do like the Brady promotion, because I also like the fact that they're changing up the defense. So like all the, if you look at it all stacked together, I think it's going in the right direction. That said, I got to ask you, thankfully the offense is intact, but now he's going to be head coaching. So you wonder if there's going to be a little bit of loss in attention to it. Does that mean the offense slips just a little bit? And then you have a first year situation where Jim Leonard, I don't think he DC'd at all in the pros.
No,
he was a head coach in college, and he was an assistant DC in the pros. But he hasn't been a defensive coordinator.
He hasn't been a DC in the NFL. And to your point, like you kind of articulated that really well as far as like where I was going to go with this too. So with Joe Brady, like, and now he's the head coach. He's not the offensive coordinator, but he's the head coach and the offensive coordinator. Play caller, I'll say. Like offensive coordinator title, Pete Carmichael, but Pete Carmichael's a mid-60-year-old, veteran offensive coordinator. Like I think he's going to have a say in what they do and things like that. But the play caller is going to be Joe Brady, and that as well. Like the Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan kind of line of thinking. Those guys, Andy Reid, the GOAT, Andy Reid. Right. As far as this goes. Being a head coach and calling plays at the same time, that level of power really is going to allow, I think, Josh Allen more freedom to run the offense as he sees fit.
Here's what I like about it too: is you got Brady on the field, and I know guys like to be up in the box because I see the whole field. They can anticipate the defense better. But one thing I felt like Josh needed, like in the Houston game last year, when he was like, "What the F are we doing on the sideline?" He's like, "What's going on?"
Right.
I feel like if him and Brady are on the sideline together, they could talk that through.
Right.
And now I feel like Josh is going to be coming to the sideline, engage with his head coach more. Like you didn't really see McDermott and Josh have moments.
No, not at all.
You saw Belichick and Brady have moments where they're kind of game planning, or Belichick, talking to the GOAT saying, you got to be better. Like, Belichick's like one of the only people on the planet that could go to that guy and say,
you got to be better.
You got to be better. And I feel like Joe Brady and Josh Allen have a good enough relationship. It's super strong where if Josh is a little bit off in a game, I think Brady can get him by the horns and say, like, hey, let's snap out of this right now. Where I don't know McDermott, like what that was like. I think they both obviously loved each other, but I think because Joe's the offensive guy that's sitting down and game planning that it's going to hit different. So I do like the fact that because he's the head coach now, he will be on the field drawing up plays together on the sideline. But I just worry a little bit about first-year defensive coordinator Jim Leonhard. I like that they're changing the scheme because the previous scheme showed that it wasn't good enough, didn't work. I heard recently that play callers came out and said, no, nobody is going to name names, but they felt that McDermott's play calls on defense were getting predictable. They kind of knew what to expect, and they were able to scheme against him, and he couldn't stop anybody in the playoffs. And the other thing that I will say that's unfortunate, it's not McDermott's total fault, is that a lot of times he was dealing with having a totally banged up defense. And I know every team has injuries. By the time you get to the playoffs, everybody's hurt. But I'm talking like we had to get AJ Klein off the couch at one time and stop his vacation plans to play in a playoff game against the Chiefs. We lost that game against, in Buffalo against the Chiefs. If you remember, that was the missed field goal with Bass. But like you had AJ Klein playing linebacker in that game. So again, is it all McDermott's fault? No. But when you're known as a defensive guy, you got to get the job done. And he, for 8 years, was it 8 or 9 years?
9 years. Yep.
So I respect and thank you for your time. Like, you'll always be loved for what you did in Buffalo. And I think whenever he comes back, if he's an opposing coach, he should get a really nice applause from the crowd.
For sure.
I mean, we did it for Andy Dalton for basically helping end the drought. So I would think McDermott would get a good one for his time and just the respect for him. I did not like what Pagula did and said, and that guy should be limited on microphone at all times.
Well, the thing that was really frustrating for me was, that decision to fire him, to kind of pinpoint it like late January, early February, kind of in that window, that was while the Sabres were starting, a month into their run. And the local media, I really respect them and everything. And I know that it's a grind, that job. Yeah. Like I definitely understand, but they would ask him things like, where have you been? Why haven't you done many press conferences with the Sabres? Why haven't you done many press conferences here as owner of the Bills? Number one, he's a business guy. He's not a very, admittedly, so he even admitted this, he's not a very good public speaker. Like that's not his thing. So, and
when you hear him public speak, I gotta say, you be a business guy. He's obviously got to be smart somehow.
He's smart.
The guy's a billionaire. He's not. Right. He cannot be completely, unless someone hands you billions of dollars and you're a billionaire. You got to earn it somehow. So I got to say, there's a respect I have for the guy. Sure. I don't know what it is, but I just respect the fact that he's done it. But it makes me wonder, how are you that bad public speaking? Like, if to run a business, you got to really be able to talk and articulate to teams and
my guess, Mike. I agree with you, but my guess is that he's a fracker, not a football guy. Like he owns the Bills, but he's not Jerry Jones. He's not Robert Kraft. Their business was their business to get them a football team. Mm-hmm. His business is still his business, and he did it to more so like save the teams. Which
after January, I don't think anyone in Buffalo, they were asking him
in a press conference.
why we haven't seen you press conference more. I think all of them are going to be like, don't even ask him. Don't even
do it. Yeah, just talk to Josh and we'll figure it out.
I mean, we all know. I don't even want to talk about it, but the Keon Coleman thing where he was trying to pin that on previous coaches. Well, guess what? Your next coach was a coach on this coaching staff, so you're basically throwing your new coach under the bus.
Made no sense.
You're throwing your GM who's sitting next to you, and now you got a current player who's already kind of on the hot seat with fans and himself and the team. You're giving him extra drama that you don't need. So you're like 0 for 3 in what you're doing right now. So like,
I completely agree. And
yeah,
I don't know if you saw this, Mike, but they just talked to Keon yesterday, and
yeah, I saw it.
the guy handled the whole thing really professionally well, and
I
just
agree.
referred to his season last season as quote ass, which it was, but like he could not have been more open about it, and couldn't have handled it better.
I think most
So
players will just be like, you asked me that question, I already answered it, move on. And he didn't even do that. Every time he said, I could be better. Last year was
mhm,
ass. And then he said, like, I expect more of myself. Like, yeah, he really did have a more mature attitude
approach,
about it. And
yeah,
I don't know what the deal is. Apparently it was reported that he missed a meeting last year, but he was sidelined for 4 games where he was a healthy
yeah,
scratch. So it wasn't a one-time deal. But again, I know he worked a lot with Stevie Johnson this offseason, which was
mhm,
cool. Andre Reed talked to him, a really long phone call I heard between the two
yeah,
of them.
yeah,
And I think Josh just is pouring into him with love. And I do expect him to be better as he does. And the thing is, we don't need him to be wide receiver 2 or 3. He's really wide receiver 4. Okay. We
right.
just consistently need, when we call your number, funny
Just
enough,
catch the ball.
number 0, but like even though he got 500 and change, 500 yards and change his rookie year. Last year it was 400 and change, about the same amount of targets. I just saw it yesterday. So his numbers, dipped, but he didn't have those 4 games. So his numbers only dipped 100 yards with 4 less games played. So
Week one, I thought he was their best receiver. After they
week
played
1,
Baltimore, he was fantastic that week. I
but
thought it was going to be smooth sailing.
now you got DJ Moore.
Mhm.
And
Somebody to push him.
you got not only to push him, but you got DJ Moore that you can rely on. I feel like he's a reliable receiver. Shakir's already Mr. Reliability, and you have Palmer, who hopefully can stay healthy, and he's a guy that should be able to produce something. He was pretty solid when he was with the Chargers, and then you have, I love this kid, Skylar Bell. I think is going to be the 2, and hopefully they let him go immediately. One knock on McDermott was he really made guys have to earn playing time. Is kind of the old school,
very old school.
You're some young pup, you're not just going to get the ball thrown your way. You got to practice well. You got to have a great training camp. You got to be the best. Earn your reps in practice. And I get that mentality, and I don't totally have a problem with that. But at the same time, if your goal is to win football games and you got a guy who could be your number 2 receiver and he's already that good, you got to also balance that out. And I think Joe Brady being offensive, this is an assumption, so can't, take it for what it is, but you would think that Skylar Bell might have a quicker trajectory to a second or third role on the wide receiver depth chart.
Yeah, I would agree. And, what's really funny about Skylar Bell is that round, I'll pull it up right now, but that round
4?
round 4 in which they took him, the Bills picked somebody else to pick before that. And I texted my buddy Eric. I said, I cannot believe that they passed on Skylar Bell. I was pissed. And then I actually was in the process. I was shopping with my fiance. We were doing something, running errands. I think they took Jude Bowery. That's who it was. Jude Bowery, the lineman from Boston College. And then I saw on my phone that Buffalo took Skylar Bell at the end of the 4th round. I thought, why did he fall? Why did he fall so far? Even past when they took Jude Bowery, and I felt really good after that because I got the guy that I wanted them to get. So one of the guys that I wanted them to get outside of anybody in the 1st or 2nd round, but I really think the acquisition of DJ Moore is a lot better than what people think, because as good as Stephon Diggs was, as great as he was, the 4 years that he was here, statistically, nobody had a better 4-year stretch, in Buffalo, even in comparison to Andre Reed. Diggs' numbers were higher. A lot of reasons for that, passing league now and all that stuff. But
Diggs is a great route runner. The thing that Diggs was so good at is he just made a couple moves and he always got to that empty spot. And Josh knew where he was going to be before anyone else did. I don't know that DJ is going to be that same kind of route runner, but I expect similar results as far as he's going to know where he needs to be and Josh is going to be able to find him. I think the connection will be really strong there. I don't think it's going to take long for them to start to hem in together and produce. Yeah.
I think too, I watched a lot of his game, right after they traded for him. I watched a lot of his tape, and what really jumps out at me is he plays better when he runs beyond his route, which is perfectly suited for the guy that's the best quarterback in the league at extending plays. Yeah. So that's what really got me excited. And Caleb Williams talked about it, in detail, that, he's going to miss him a lot because he's somebody that he relied on when things were pressured and forced him to kind of look and see who was there. And more oftentimes than not, the guy that was open beyond his route was DJ Moore. He does a very good job at getting open beyond the play, beyond the designed route, which is an underrated art, I think, in this league that a lot of the great receivers can do. Guys like Puka Nacua, guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, and DJ Moore. You look at statistics based on like yards per catch, yards per attempt, quarterback wise to him. He's played with some really bad quarterbacks in Carolina and
still produced
really well in those areas. Yeah. So I'm excited. I think he's a young 29. I know a lot of people are saying, he's pushing 30, but there were some lean years there where he was on some really bad teams where he wasn't really used at the level that he should have been. And they ran the ball a lot in Carolina. They ran the ball a lot in Chicago. They run the ball a lot here, but here it works, and that's going to open him up even more, pun intended, for him to do really, really well. I would urge anyone that playing fantasy football or dynasty or whatever it is, I'm in on him. I think he's going to do really, really well.
I agree. Again, different style player and route runner than Diggs, but I can see him being a similar producer. And even if he's a little less than that, maybe 1,200, 1,500 yards or 1,100. I mean, just someone that is reliable down the field. And like you said, Josh is a creator after the play. If something breaks down, whatever, on the move. And if that's something that DJ excels at, that's a match made in heaven. And that's really good scouting on the Bills' part. If they're going to give up a second, get a player that produces, but also can lean into what Josh's strength is, which is that broken play. You got to be really good on script, but in the Bills offense, if you're great off script, you're going to get the ball. And that's I think Shakir is really good at that. Like he knows he's stepping here and he sees all the momentum of the defense going here and he starts going the other way where Josh can turn around and throw it there. It'll take a little time, but I think DJ Moore is going to figure that out with Josh pretty quickly. I'm excited about him. Skylar Bell, I think the 4th round deal has a lot to do just with the school he's at, maybe a little bit of his size, but everybody projected him higher than he went. And so I think that's a steal. A lot of times those guys do turn out well in the NFL where it's it's the school.
Shakir was a 5th. Shakir was a 5th rounder. Look at how he had turned out,
Right. And you can't, and Diggs, I think, was a 4th rounder.
Yeah.
Wasn't he a 4th rounder?
Yeah, 4th rounder. Yeah.
Was he Maryland? Is that where
Maryland?
He played?
Yep.
So, I don't get caught up. The draft to me, what's interesting is these guys are professionals. They have scouts who spend 12 months a year on this stuff and they get it wrong. It's like a weatherman in Buffalo. Like try to do the weather in Buffalo. You're going to be wrong 95% of the time.
They get it wrong so much, which is why those are the 2 best jobs to have. You could do it really horribly and still get paid. So
yeah, it's true. But so I don't take as much stock in that. To me, it's the eyeball test thing. I remember, again, I'm a fan. I am not someone who gets paid to do this. My podcast is about, more business content. And
definitely want to talk about that.
Happy to talk about that. But again, I'm just a avid fan. I go crazy for watching the Bills. And I remember when now he's so old. Russell Wilson, though, when we could have got him and we took TJ Graham, wide receiver, who was a complete bust, right? And it's unfortunate, but he was a bust. And at the time, we needed a quarterback. And I remember watching, because as a fan, you're going into the draft, like you have guys that you're rooting for that the Bills get. And so I was watching film, if you will, on YouTube, and I just remember thinking, like, this guy has that it factor. The reason he's not going to go early rounds is because he's 5'11",
Right.
but he's got a little Doug Flutie in him. He's got a big, rainbow ball, and
Yeah.
and he wins a Super Bowl in Seattle. And it's like, what could if he been in Buffalo? Who knows? He would have been better than who we had at the time.
Right.
I will say this: I was completely wrong about Josh Allen. I was not happy on draft night. I was one of the fools who thought Rosen was the answer. I thought we got the wrong Josh. This is why I am not a GM at the same time, because to me, Josh did not pass the eyeball test from a standpoint of, is he NFL ready? He had moments, but Rosen looked more polished.
Right.
So again, that's why even when things look a certain way, guys get it wrong in the draft, and thankfully the Bills didn't get it wrong. The one thing that they did, you got to give Brandon Breen his flowers, and he really loves to sniff those flowers quite a bit, is that he picked Josh Allen, right? Like, he'll remind everybody about 5 times a year.
5 times a day.
That he drafted Josh Allen. It's like, okay, well, you only had 3 Pro Bowlers in 8 years, so maybe we want to focus on.
We got to review that a little bit. We got to get into But
don't forget, who did he draft? He drafted Josh
Allen.
But so there is this thing where you got to draft a moldable player that you feel your organization can take to the highest level, opposed to maybe someone who's NFL ready, who's a little safer, lower floor. And that kind of was Rosen. And then the mental side of it, like, some guys,
that's the side that nobody can see, really.
That's the X factor. Yeah. It's like, great player, but do they handle the moments? Do they, and if they're failing a lot earlier in their career, can they come back from that, or is that going to tank them?
There was a lot of situations. There was a lot of situations. You brought up Tom Brady earlier, and there was a lot of situations where I think it was Steve Mariucci. They had the 92nd pick in the 2000 draft. And they took Giovanni Carmazzi.
Yeah.
And
I remember.
They said, Steve Mariucci said this was a kid that he was 6'4", 230, but when he struggled more and more and more and more. It got worse and worse and worse. So with Tom Brady, it's like he didn't start a lot in college. He had like 2 starting years. He battled Drew Henson, battled Brian Greasy, battled all these guys.
They had a bullpen quarterback.
Right. He was like the 7th guy at one point when they had Coach Carr at Michigan. So you can't really open up a player's chest and see what he's got inside. You know what I mean? In terms of his heart. Only the situations that present themselves with a player do you really see at the NFL level what they're actually made of. And there's so many guys. I could come up with probably 10 guys off the top of my head that were phenomenal college players, but once they got to the NFL, it was like they were lost. They were completely lost. So Josh Allen was the opposite, where he had the accuracy issues. He had a little bit of a, dare I say it, an immaturity that kind of questioned his leadership a little bit. He had the Twitter thing where they went back and saw some tweets that he had posted when he was younger that were unfavorable. And a lot of teams were really off on him after that because they didn't want the distraction. Yeah. Whereas once he got here, it was like, this guy is this Buffalo. Place. This guy is Buffalo. Yeah. So
you could picture him like riding into the stadium on a Buffalo.
Right. You couldn't really gauge that, until he got here. You know what I mean? Like they saw it, which is why they went up and traded for him, traded up twice to get him, but we didn't know that yet. So
gotta ask Elway about that too.
Yeah. So and that was a guy that passed on him too. So there's so many layers.
Chubb, who is now a Buffalo Bill.
Yeah, that's cool. I remember when
DJ Moore was in that draft too.
When they traded up,
that's pretty cool when you think about it, having those 3 players on the current team.
When they traded up for Tremaine Edmonds, I remember thinking this is either going to be Tremaine Edmonds or DJ Moore. And the reason I thought it was going to be DJ Moore was because when they did I think it was part of the NFL scouting combine, Josh Allen was actually throwing passes to DJ Moore at the combine. Like they were being evaluated at the same time. So I thought, that would look kind of nice. And now 8-9 years later, they're on the same team. So we'll see.
I think it's exciting. Josh said in his press conference yesterday that they were doing like the Panini card
Yeah,
photo
that
shoot
too.
together, and he's
That
like,
too.
you're on set for 8 hours a day, and there's a lot of sitting around, and he's like, we had like some really long, in-depth conversations
Yeah.
because we were sitting next to each other waiting to do our photo shoot. So he's like, I kind of know him pretty well already, you know.
Yeah,
It's pretty
that's pretty
cool.
sweet. You think I'd never see this guy again, and then he's your teammate 8 years
Yeah.
later.
I do want to say a couple things about Joe Brady. I got some notes I'm looking at here.
Yeah,
So
sure.
since he took over, now this is starting with the 2023 season. I know part of that season was Dorsey getting fired early in the year. What was it, around week 6, I think?
Yep, mid-season. Yep.
So these stats are 2023 to now. So it might be a little bit off, but it's as close as I could find. The Bills have scored the second most points in the NFL, second only to the Lions since 2023 when Brady took over as offensive coordinator. Now, that's impressive to me. I think that's worthy of
huge.
the big reason that he got it. The thing that's different about those points, though, is more of them came in the running game, and not all of them came from Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
So Josh definitely, you know, one of the things I see other teams try to say as a negative is they say he's a goal line hound and he basically steals from running backs. And I get it. Thing is, it works. So as a head coach, you're going to call it because it works. The other thing is we haven't really had guys that were able to push the pile. Like, you know, the Zach Mosses and the Singletaries weren't getting the ball on the 1 yard line and scoring. So Josh is like, give me the damn thing. I'll do it. But what I like about Brady is he really got the team balanced.
He did.
If you look at anybody who covers football and they talk about the Bills offense, even when they were humming in 2020 and 2021, 2022,
the Dable years, they were pass happy.
They were pass happy, and Josh was passing for 4,500 yards and 35 touchdowns in the air, and that's when Diggs was lighting up everybody. But they couldn't run the ball to save their lives. They were Singletary would have 35 yards and Moss would have 20 yards.
Oftentimes,
and
Josh was their leading rusher.
He'd have 65 or 70 yards every week. And, you know, you guys like Colin Cowherd would always call him out like it's not sustainable.
Right.
And then so the thing I do like about Brady is he found balance to that. Now Josh can lock in, play quarterback. The thing I love is he can still do it when he needs to. I think he should run less than he has just because prime years and age and save it for the postseason. But what I like is this guy can now throw a 70-yard bomb. He could throw a 10-yard first down. He could throw a fade pass to any of his receivers. He's got 2 tight ends that can catch the ball. He's got backs that can catch it out of the backfield and a running game. So now it's like, how are you going to defend all of that? Oh, and then if you do, one thing I didn't say is Josh could keep it and run for 50 yards.
Right.
So now I like all of that. So you got a balanced offense. You go back to 2020, though, the last 5 seasons, Bills are the number 1 scoring offense. So
wow,
they were even a little bit better in the years prior to Brady at scoring points, and they went from 1 to 2. So big decrease. They went down 1.
Huge decrease to go down only 1 spot in 5 years. No, I'm teasing, yeah. but yeah, no, I love that.
I gotta say though, the last 2 years the Bills have not had that stud receiver either.
Right.
And so a lot of their production had to come from other places, like a Dalton Kincaid or feed Cook more.
Well, my point too was when you brought up that they were second only to Detroit, the first thing I thought of, Josh ain't playing with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, and they're loaded. I mean, they've been loaded in Detroit. So Buffalo definitely does have weapons, don't get me wrong, but I mean, they haven't had that number 1 guy, you know, in terms of production these last 2 years.
Let's transition into the stadium. New stadium, and the stadium opener is going to be against the Detroit Lions on September 17th, Thursday Night Football. It'll open up the Thursday Night Football.
That's my grandparents. I believe it's my grandparents' 65th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
They'll be up in heaven celebrating, watching the Bills.
And they're Bills fans, obviously, right?
Yeah. Yep. So awesome. Yeah, that was my next little clicker here. So new Highmark Stadium, Mike. I gotta spit some takes on this. So I am super excited. I know some people that are involved in putting this behemoth together. And I think fans are gonna be blown away once they see how much of a football first stadium this is. Granted, it will host concerts. It will host the 2028 NHL Winter Classic. You heard it here first. It
Oh,
will
wow.
happen. It will
Okay.
happen. I'm pretty
That's breaking
confident in that.
news.
That's
Oh,
breaking
okay.
news.
All
That's
right.
breaking news. That will
All right.
happen. Very
Got
confident
my
in that.
attention.
Gary Bettman wants it. So and he wants it really bad, especially after he just watched the 2.7 million fans that just watched Game 7 the other night. So
Yeah.
there's
Well,
that.
I think that the draft will be in Buffalo soon too.
Draft will be in Buffalo
If
for
they did it in
certain.
Pittsburgh, they could do it there. And I think with the old stadium parking lot would be a spot where you'll see a lot of people standing room only area.
So that once the old stadium is demolished, the plan for that is like this multiplex kind of area where it's going to have stores and all sorts of just dining options and bars and restaurants and all sorts of stuff.
I was waiting for them to do that with the I knew they put a lot of renovations into the old stadium like 10 years ago maybe.
Yep.
And to get it, so it was livable, it was usable for another decade. But basically it was at that point they were, there's so many cracks
just kind of mailing it in. Yeah. Yep.
And I think that was before we even knew the new stadium was definitely going to happen. And so I'm thinking Pagula is a builder. He's got hotels and stuff. I just couldn't believe, like, 716 is downtown. It's great, but have a 716 on Abbott Road right there. And I couldn't believe that they weren't doing anything like that. So my guess is they were like, no, we're not going to do it now. And then have to tear it down.
We're going to save it.
Maybe they knew that they were going to put the stadium across the street, knock the old stadium down. And now that multiplex is going to be pretty exciting. And maybe it will have a 716 restaurant in it,
Oh, for sure. And I think they're going to have a lot of different things with music because the Pagulas own a country music label.
Okay.
That Kelsey Ballerini is a part of it. Chase Rice, I think is his name, is a part of it. Some country people, and so I think there's going to be some stuff ties into that potentially. But there's a lot of as far as like musical acts that could come to New Highmark Stadium in the near future. But where I'm going with this is I am super excited about the stadium. I think it's going to be great, and I think it could be what kind of creates the notion that the Bills were cursed because the old stadium was on a Native American burial ground. I don't know if you had ever heard about that before.
I did hear about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see it when you're at the stadium. There's you can walk right past it.
Right.
But isn't the new stadium also? Wasn't there a cemetery there too, or no?
I
don't know.
I don't think so because it's in front of like the Hammer lot. So like where it is like almost front adjacent kind of corner.
So release the curse
to the Hammer lot.
Hey, if
that's what I'm thinking.
The Red Sox did it after what, 90 years?
It felt like 90. Yeah.
How many years?
I think it was 86 years.
Okay.
I think it was 86.
Well, excuse me. The only thing I was counting was World Series championships once we got up
to there's a lot for the Yankees to lose count for sure.
I just got to throw you. That's the one thing that we got. We don't, but it's friendly fire.
I got to talk about this real quick for the folks at home. So I got around 500 on one site, about 1,000 on another, 1,500 on another. Like I'm seeing where all this is going out and all the eyeballs that are watching us right now, which is really cool. We're at right around 5,000, 6,000 right now, which is great.
Awesome.
So Mike messaged me and he says, for the life of me, like, I don't get it. You're a Bills fan. You're a Sabres fan. You check off both of those boxes. And I'm catching your drift and saying that, like, checking off both of those boxes, being a fan of those teams. Why the hell are you a Boston Red Sox fan? And I explained to him, and I've explained this story before, but my grandfather, near and dear to my heart, was an avid Red Sox fan. And the reason he was an avid Red Sox fan is because his brother was an avid Yankees fan, his older brother. So they would, like, do that to kind of, poke fun and kind of
friendly back and forth,
brotherly banter. Right. And Ted Williams was his guy. So somewhere around here in that closet behind me, I got a Ted Williams jersey that I gotta wear that at some point to a game. But there's just, it's the great, to me, it will always, without a shadow of a doubt, it'll always be the best rivalry of all time. That's where I stand.
So much fun when the two teams. It doesn't have it as much now, just because the Red
teams
Sox
aren't all good.
Yeah. But in the 90s when I was hemmed in and watching I still actually watch every game. I have the benefit of working from home, so I can have the game on while I'm working on,
Nice.
work from the family room. It's on. I basically have it on low, just
Now,
here.
what do you do for your day job, if you don't mind me asking?
So I run a company called Social Chameleon. It's a podcast production
Oh,
company.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
So
that's
we
really
produce
cool.
business podcasts mainly. And so
Nice.
I started that up in 2017, and really 2019 is when it took on the podcast production agency.
Hence your email. That's what
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Social
Okay.
Chameleon is the
Yeah.
company I started. Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
And my show is called Mic'd Up
Hmm.
with Mike Dicioccio, where I interview a lot of entrepreneurs, keynote speakers, authors. I just dive into them, learn from their stories, how they built their businesses. It's all about 1, 2, 3 takeaways from every episode that we can apply to ourselves to get better for it. So it's a business show. I do have people on, not always that are in business. Sometimes I'll have entertainers on, because to me it's a mindset. They're great at
Hmm.
what they do, so they put in the work and energy. I've had athletes on. I had an Olympian on who won a gold medal for skiing. Just some
Wow.
really really cool people, and
Yeah.
many of them have become friends. Many of them have become clients.
Mm.
It's amazing what podcasting did for me. So I teach people about it now. People hire me to consult with them on it, and that's what I do. But I run it from home.
That's really awesome. Yeah, and
Yeah.
we followed each other for a long time, and I gotta say, man to man, I got great respect for the hustle and the grind that you have, and it's from a genuine perspective, like how you approach people and how you speak to people. I can tell it's just genuine. You're kind of someone that I would see is always looking to educate themselves, and I admire that. I really do.
And one thing too, I appreciate that. That
Yeah.
absolutely means a lot to me. One thing I look at is, to me, it's a lens that has a reflection on it. So,
Hmm.
like, if I can learn something from someone in the moment, and I know that if there's a fly on the wall, they can learn from it. Like, I want to do that. So,
Hmm.
I was having those conversations over a cup of coffee like 6 years ago. And I thought to myself, if we recorded this and someone else can learn from what we just talked about and be inspired by it, let's do it. So that's how I turned it into
Right.
the podcast. And then over time, it was like, it wasn't just interviewing anybody. It was these really incredible people who were excited to be on the show. And it kind of blew me away at what it became. And then from there, I did that first. And then people
Hmm.
asked me if I could produce their show similar to what I did for myself. And that's when the light bulb went off. And I'm like, heck yeah, like, let's go. So,
Yeah, that's
um,
great.
but that's why tonight, and I apologize, I felt myself a little bit over talking and kind of jumping on you a little
No,
bit in
you're good.
conversation.
You're
It's
good.
because I'm so damn passionate about sports that
I I love it. I
I
love
have
it.
to stop myself, because I'm normally talking about business and stuff I absolutely love as well, but I've never done a sports
This gives you
podcast.
a chance to kind of, yeah, and it gives you a chance to kind of just go all out. And I
Yeah.
love that. I love that.
And
Hey,
out
I
here,
love.
I don't have someone to just talk Buffalo sports with. So,
Yeah. You
um,
always got me, brother. You always got
all
me.
right. Well, dude, and I want to say mutual respect, because I know you've been doing Thomas Take for a long time. Like,
Yeah.
this is something you've been putting a lot of energy into. I see you doing a lot of videos like off the cuff. Like Joe Brady
Hmm.
gets hired, so you're doing a video, like you're on top of
Right.
it.
Right.
So I appreciate you putting in the work and good and great
Thank you.
content. And that's how we've
Thank you.
stayed in touch. Why don't we do excuse me, to wrap up, or we don't have to go, but if we want to end on something, I think that would be kind of cool, is why don't we pick the Bills schedule? Do you want to each do a pick
Yes.
for each game? Like, so for
Hence,
week 1 versus the Texans, you want to each give a pick, and then we can add them up?
yeah, let's do that. I got that on the screen share here. Let me just pop this up here. Buffalo Bills schedule 2026. It might look a little wonky because it's got an ad to it on the top of those stupid ads.
Sure.
Oh no, it's good. All right, we're good. So can we see that, Mike? Can we see that?
I can see it. Obviously, on my screen, it's small because I'm using a prompter to be able to
Yeah.
talk to you and see my screen at the same time. But it
So
looks
let's do
like,
this.
here,
Let's
let me
do
move
this
it
here.
so I can see what everyone else is seeing. Yeah, that looks like it's full screen. I don't love the layout that they gave.
I don't either.
It's hard to read.
It's very hard to
I showed
read.
it to my daughter, and she was like, I don't
Let's
really
do
know what you're
this.
showing me. So then I found the like straight up one that like the PR team put out that's just basic.
Yeah, this
That's
is
a little
even
bit
worse. Yeah,
easier to read.
it's even
Yeah.
worse. Let me see here.
Go to Twitter
I'll
and
go to Twitter and
then
Buffalo
go
Bills
to
PR.
PR, and then
Yep.
I'm sure it was like last week, right? Wasn't it last Thursday or?
Buffalo Bills schedule. Yeah, and
But I got some interesting this is breaking news as well. I haven't mentioned this to anybody. Only close family knows this, and maybe a few friends. But oddly enough, in early September, I'm moving again, so I won't be in Philly.
snap.
Because my, it's all relative to where my daughter's at. She lives with her mom. I get her partial time, obviously. And so there's a situation where they're moving to Houston. They needed my approval. And I said, let's go. Moving to Houston in early September.
Whoa.
And if you guys know the schedule, the first game of the Buffalo Bills season is on the road at Houston in Energy Stadium, which is a stadium that Josh Allen has never won in. And so, will he slay the dragon? Is the first question.
It's his worst. Can you see this better?
I mean, it's there. Can you
there.
zoom in?
Yeah, let me see if I can zoom in here.
I could see it. I think they'd be able to see that. Houston, 1 o'clock, CBS.
Yeah, so I'll go through it. So Houston, 1 o'clock, CBS on the road. I'm gonna say that Josh Allen gets the monkey off his back.
Okay.
And DJ Moore has a great Buffalo Bills debut, and the Bills get that one done.
Because of some of the other games I picked, and I know I did pick this in the moment when it came out. I think originally I picked them to win the game as well. But when I go back, I'm going to go with a loss, which stings. But I almost, from a personal standpoint, I might be at the game, and I just feel like I could imagine being around 70,000 Texans fans, and I'm going to be in my Josh Allen jersey getting stuff thrown at me. Like, I'm having a hard time imagining being the fan leaving the stadium going, yeah, we won. And I don't know, for some reason, I feel like I'm 50-50 on that game. I could see us winning it and Josh slaying the dragon. And I could see Josh actually playing well and us still not winning, because it's the first week with the new defense and everything. Yeah, I think it'll be close. It'll be like another 23-20.
Let's try this. Let's try this layout. It'll only have our voices, but it'll zoom it a little.
Yeah, that's
you see that better?
That looks better. Yeah.
All right, people love hearing our voices anyway, so this is good. All right, so kicking it to week 2. I got the Bills at 1-0. You got the Bills at 0-1. The first home game in the history of the new Highmark Stadium. Thursday night football, quick turnaround on Prime Video against the Detroit Lions. Mike, what do you got?
I got us winning that game.
I do too. I will say primetime, first home game. I think this will be where Tyler Bass kicks the rust off of his foot and the Bills win 24-23. I'm going to add a score prediction to that one.
I gave you the score prediction on the first one there, like saying maybe lose 23-20. The other reason to, I know this isn't necessarily rapid fire, but like to go back to the Texans game, the reason for that pick is historically the Bills and really Josh doesn't always play well week 1. And I do think it's partially because they don't play him a lot in preseason. They're one of the teams who don't play their starters as much. Maybe they changed that with Joe Brady, but Josh is usually kind of pretty cold. I mean, the Cardinals game was that last year where they won, but he wasn't great, but had moments where he had that jumping over Buda Baker and
little shaky.
Yeah, but got the job done. But that was the Cardinals. This is the Texans with the Texans defense. So that's kind of why, and they're on the road. Again, I think the Bills, maybe they see them in the playoffs and they beat the Texans. But I say week 1, always a little rusty. I'm going loss. Then week 2, 4-day turnaround. They're at home, new stadium. Place is going to be going bonkers. Everyone's going to be feeling the vibes. And they just lost. So they're going to have extra motivation. I think they're just going to have more than the Lions to offer that night, and they're going to win. Score prediction, I don't know, 31-28.
I love it. All right, we're going to kick it to week 3. 10 days of rest between games, you could say, to the LA Chargers at home against the LA Chargers day game, which I love on Sunday. It's Sunday 1 o'clocker. I'm old school, man. I love Sundays at 1 o'clock. So I'm gonna go. This one I do believe will be close as well. I really think the Chargers are going to have a good year this year, and they're a little more well balanced as well.
Harbaugh's been there now.
Yep.
3 years, I think. So like
Yep.
the program's built and rolling. So
Justin Herbert's going to have a little bit more protection around him.
I don't know how healthy he'll be though. I
I don't
know
know how
he's
healthy I don't know if he'll be even ready. Like they're a little reluctant to even talk about him right now, which kind of scares me. But I do think that Mike McDaniel is a good offensive coach. I don't know if he was a good head coach, right? So they could be a little bit better offensively than what they were. But I'm going to say Buffalo wins this one as well. I got them starting 3-0 to start the year.
I will say I knew that Mike McDaniel went there, and when you mentioned it, I'm like, oh yeah, but I actually in the prediction kind of forgot about that. So I think it will be tighter game because I think their offense will be humming really well. But I'm going to go Bills 27-20. So I got
27-20.
I got us 2-1 out of the gates here.
I'm going to refer to that game as the Doug Flutie Bowl because he played for both teams.
Yeah,
That's just Marcellus Wiley Bowl. We could throw that out there too. Steve Christie Bowl. Throw that out there too.
Chargers are a good team, man. So
they are.
All three of these are coin flips. I think, like I said, I could see the Bills winning week 1. I could see the Bills winning or losing against the Lions. Now, because of the home field, the new stadium, I would certainly hope that we'd have the juice to pull that off. And then week 3, I feel like, Chargers are a good team, but Bills over the last 5 years have been better. Mm-hmm. And so I expect them to win that game.
Yeah, I do too at home. And that's really what jumped out at me with the schedule, Mike, when I looked at it is weeks 2, 3, and 4 are all at home. That's huge. I mean, to start early in the season, you got to go on the road.
But you're at least at home.
You're at least at home, right? And so then we kick it to week 4. I got the Bills at 3-0. You got them at 2-1. We got the Patriots. I'll let you hit lead off on this one first. Yep.
Didn't we play the Patriots in week 4 last year at home?
I believe it was week 4 or 5. Might have been week 4.
I was at the game. Yeah. It was the whiteout game with the alternate jerseys.
Yes.
Heartbreaker. It was a weird game. A lot of weird penalties and stuff.
What did you think of those jerseys? I got to get your take on that.
Concept was cool. I liked the iced out factor. I didn't like that the nameplates were weird because once they were put on, the graphics didn't line up, so it kind of it looked a little weird. And I thought the helmet needed more. I thought the logo on the sleeve that had the depth to it should have been the logo on the helmet.
That would have been really sweet.
So I feel like that. They were close, but no stogie. I didn't overall. If someone brought that to me and said, "Do we go with it?" I would have not. I would have said, "Just don't even do it." But if we had to do it, it would have been better looking than that. So
right.
I say no bueno on that jersey. I didn't buy it. I was at that game. Heartbreaker. This year, I think we get it done. We're going to be 3-1.
3-1. Okay, I'm going to go. Dare I say it? I'm going to go 4-0. I think the Patriots are going to have some uphill battles, at least early in the season.
Let me ask you this question, a little Kelsey question for you.
Sure.
Is Vrabel the head coach of the Patriots this year?
Well, that was what I was just about to say too. You great minds think alike.
What's the OC's name?
Mike McDonald or Josh McDaniels.
Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, Josh McDaniels.
That would be my pick if Vrabel sits out a year, because I think that might happen. I would say
very well could. This is a huge distraction to this team, and it's going to continue to be.
More keeps coming out, and I think at a certain point, it'll probably be in Vrabel's best interest if he takes a year off, lets everything quiet down, and he comes back, and then the story is just he's back. That's the headline, not the actual headline,
Right.
What a crazy situation. I thought Vrabel to me seemed like a guy who made a lot of good decisions. It was just a guy
that's how he coaches too.
Yeah.
He coaches like, hey, we're not going to make mistakes. We're going to make good decisions. And it's like,
and he's partying with a pregnant reporter on a boat, and man,
God, horrible.
I don't wonder too what they're thinking. Like, their names are on the forms. Like, they're relying on the fact that nobody's going to leak that information. That's when you're in a situation so much where you're not really thinking with your brain.
Right.
He's thinking with his brain. But anyway, I think I don't know, if I was a betting man, I'm kind of, we keep talking about these 50-50 games. I'm kind of 50-50 on Vrabel coaching for the Patriots this year. I think all it's going to take is, one more pretty whopper of a story from TMZ, and I think that could be the straw. Because right now there's been like 4 different situations.
I'm going to throw this out there. If that kid is his, it's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah,
like if
would
that
they
child is
report
his
that? They don't have
child,
any obligation to report that, though.
They don't.
But if that's true, I don't think obviously Vrabel's party, Rossini's party, no one's going to advertise that if that's even true. But it also could get leaked out there.
It could get leaked out. Like in this day and age, I heard about, on a somber note, unfortunately, but I heard about the Kobe Bryant plane crash from TMZ. You know what I mean? I heard about, I hear about a lot of things from TMZ. You know what I mean?
And you gotta wonder, is that true? But I don't know how they're getting it. They pay for it, obviously.
Who gives it? That's the thing. Like who
really
took those photos? Right?
I feel bad for Rossini's husband. I don't know, Mike, right? As well.
Yeah, Mike Rossini, I think.
Is it Mike?
Yeah,
no? I don't know.
Or maybe David.
Because she said they named their kid Mike, but she said it was because she put out that day a really weird post, a really weird tweet, like, "Oh, we named our kid Mike because aren't there some great retired players with the name Mike?" Like obviously referring to Vrabel.
It's almost like she taunted the fact that it was happening while it was happening, but nobody knew it.
You don't know what I'm talking about. You think I'm just making a playful thing about the name Mike, but there's more to it. And then it bit her when the truth came out. All right, that's a lot to talk about the Patriots, but I'm going to say if Vrabel coaches, I think it's closer. If Josh McDaniels is coaching, I think we win 30-20.
Okay, I like that take. I like that take a lot.
So I'm going. Vrabel, I think we win, but it's just going to be. It would be closer.
Yeah. So
I pick a little bit of a spoiler. I pick us splitting with the Patriots. So
yeah, me too.
And you could flip flop it. If we lose week 4, then we beat them in their crib.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I'm gonna go.
Dude, look at that. What's your pick?
Oh, I'm gonna go 4-0 for New England. Week 5, we got the LA Rams.
Monday Night Football.
This is where I think they're gonna suffer their first L on my schedule prediction. And mainly it's because we got a new defense. Jim Leonard, let's say the defense averages like 21 points allowed or 20 points allowed per game. This is where I think Buffalo's defense in that transition to a 3-4 kind of gets carved up a little bit more because Sean McVay is a savant.
They'll have 4 weeks of tape to see what we were doing and stuff.
Yep. So I'm gonna go with an L to the Chargers. To the Rams. I'm gonna say that it's a close shootout though. I'm gonna go like 35-31. That's what I'm gonna say.
I picked the Bills to win.
Okay.
So I think we still have the same record then, right? 4-1.
Yep, we got the same record, 4-1.
Right. But here's the deal. Remember when the Rams won the Super Bowl? They beat the Bengals. That was obviously in February. And then in September of week 1, so months removed from them winning a Super Bowl, we go into their house and kick their butt 31-10, I think. Wasn't it 31-10?
31-10.
I would say Josh Allen in that game, go back and watch it, everybody. If you don't remember, it was the best passing I've ever seen him do. Precision passing. He was really, and that's when I was like, I thought we were going to win the Super Bowl that year because after week 1 and we just beat the Super Bowl champs. And that was what was frustrating because we weren't in the Super Bowl the year prior because we lost to the Bengals, right? At home.
Yep.
That was a whole weird situation. And so what you want, it was the DeMar situation, the snow, whatever. That was just a horrible. I really don't know what happened that day, but something that I don't think fans know was going on internally. The whole team was flat. But the fact is, the Bengals won. They went on. They were in the Super Bowl, and then they lost. I feel like if the Bills won that game, they would have. Who would they have to beat the next week? Maybe it was the Chiefs, right? Because
they would have had to beat the Chiefs, I think.
All right, and so let's say they get to the Super Bowl that year. It's interesting because we played them week 1. We beat that pretty similar roster. They didn't lose that many pieces. But I just remember that Monday, what was it? Was it Monday Night Football week 1? I forget what the game was. I think it was
Sunday night.
Maybe it was Sunday Night Football. Yep. They just looked so good against the Rams. Now, I know we played them again since then, and we lost to them, I think, 48-42 last year or 2 years ago. And so that's kind of what you're predicting is a lot of points, but a loss. I'm going to say we win it. But again, all these games so far, 5 weeks in a row, it's not easy, and
No.
we could literally, I think the ceiling is 4-1, and I think the floor could be 1-4, but I don't know if I see that either.
I'd say 2-2. I'd say floor would be 2-2 for me.
Well, you
worst
got
case
5
scenario.
games, so maybe 2-3
or 2-3. Right.
You
3-2.
You got to win the home opener, and you should be able to beat the Chargers or the Patriots.
The ones that I could see them
two.
losing in their first 5 for sure, like if I were to pick, would be Houston and the Rams for me. But
for definitely winning.
For if they were to lose 2 out of the first 5, I'd see it being Houston and the Rams.
Okay.
I think they can beat Detroit. I think they can beat the Chargers. And I do feel really confident facing New England at home week 4, more than what I think most do. But to what we talked about moments ago with the Vrabel situation and playing him at home, and
I just hope even if Vrabel's there, that they're just a little more distracted and
little sapped. A little sapped, and their record could be 1-3 going.
They got a really rough start. The Bills and Patriots have a very similar schedule, but so their schedule starts really tough too. So they're not going to be like, just beating up on a bunch of dummies and then they play the Bills. They're going to be in some dogfights too early on.
Yeah, I love that thought.
So 4-1 going into the Raiders. I think we both probably pick a win there.
Yes, definitely.
In Vegas, that'll be a fun game.
Yes. Could be Fernando. I'm going to predict it's Fernando Mendoza's first start.
And if that's the case, then I wish we could have McDermott back, because one thing he was freaking good at is beating rookie quarterbacks, especially in the first game. Remember?
He was
8-0.
Very good. Very good.
He also was really good off the bye week, which we're going to talk about here next. So, 5-1
going into the bye. We rest up, we heal up, and we got Baltimore
on home field in New Highmark, and I got us winning it.
I got us winning that one as well. I really do.
I think. Well, what are your thoughts on the Ravens this year?
Man,
new head coach Jesse Minter, right? I don't know much about the guy.
I think he was definitely deserving of a head coaching opportunity, but I really was shocked when Harbaugh of the Ravens, that is, was fired. I was shocked, and I'll tell you why. Because I was shocked because all the people that we talked about on Twitter that praise Lamar Jackson, what I read, what I heard from a lot of people was that they went to Lamar Jackson and asked him first and foremost, what do you think about us moving on potentially from Harbaugh? And Lamar did not go to bat for Harbaugh at all. He basically said, do whatever you feel you have to do. Whereas I think Harbaugh had a lot to do with his success. Even as a defensive coach, I felt like they were a real good pair,
right?
Development-wise. Yeah. And he surrounded them with great offensive coaches.
About Lamar, even when Lamar had some bad moments or whatever,
always in his corner. Always in his corner.
He could have said, we expect more from our quarterback, and Lamar has not played well in the playoffs, and there was never a moment when John Harbaugh was like took a low ball shot at him. So the fact that Lamar kind of at his first opportunity didn't return the favor was, I think, interesting.
I do too, and I think it's going to hurt his career. I really do. I don't think the Ravens are going to be. I think they're going to be good. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think they're going to be what they were, because Harbaugh has that type of pedigree. Now he'll go to the Giants, and I think the Giants are on the upswing. A lot of the reason because of him and a lot of the guys that they have. And I'm looking at Buffalo's schedule, and I'm thankful that the Giants are not on it. I think he's one of those coaches that I think is going to do really well, no matter where he goes. So I'm going to say they beat
a couple
Baltimore.
Years, because they're a young team. But yeah, I say the Bills, going back to the Ravens. Broken record, could be a coin flip game again, but I know we have a new head coach. They do as well, but we have familiarity with the head coach where it's the same offensive coordinator, where they're coming in with, he's a DC, I believe, right? So they're going to have a whole different head coach philosophy, got to get to know the guy, his scheme. And I think that Lamar, I think John Harbaugh, like I said, never said a bad thing about him. And last year he underwhelmed at times when healthy and then was injured and didn't play well. I feel like I don't see Ravens fans turning on Lamar necessarily, but I think the sports world in general, who loves the guy, and he's been a freak, he's a talented player, he's a Pro Bowl level player every year. I feel like if he's not that again, he can start to fall out of favor with some people. And I don't know how he'll react. How will Lamar react to criticism? Because he hasn't really had, you know what I mean? Like, he's been playing so well that he's gotten a lot of love. How does he react to some adversity? We'll see. I don't know. So maybe that'll happen. I don't know. I'm just throwing hypotheticals in the air, but I do have us winning that game. Here's an interesting one though. The week after, this reminds me of, I think it was Monday Night Football, but we played the Atlanta Falcons that we all felt like we should have won, but it also felt weird where it's like I can see us losing the game, but going into it, I felt like we were going to win, especially because Penix is a younger quarterback and I trusted McDermott. But their defense played a lot better than I expected. Now, the Vikings, I don't know much about. I don't know if their defense is any good, and I don't know if they're going to be playing McCarthy or who's their veteran.
That's the big question for me. I don't think you go out and sign Kyler Murray to a veteran minimum deal. Yeah. Right. Veteran minimum deal, 1-year deal, because Arizona's eating a lot of money to let him go, just like just like Miami did with Tua, and he's now in Atlanta.
So he's going to play.
But he's going to play. Tua's going to play. I think Tua could play. I think Murray's more of a lock to play because Kevin O'Connell was not happy with McCarthy and his development. And his development has been slowed. And it's really tricky because, like, J.J. McCarthy coming out, definitely a decent prospect, but, like, Michigan was a running football team with Jim Harbaugh. Which is why they made it such a priority with the Chargers to go out and get Omari and Hampton, kind of take a little bit of the workload off of Justin Herbert. But now in Minnesota, you look at what they're trying to do. They need to get Justin Jefferson back on track as one of the best wide receivers in the game. So at this point in the season, could be a situation if Kyler Murray is the starter for Minnesota and gets hurt, and they got to go back to J.J. McCarthy, then I'm really confident in this game for the Bills. If Kyler Murray's back in there and healthy and rolling, then this is a tough one for me. I've always liked Kyler Murray's skill set. It's just a matter of Arizona being one of those teams that, sorry to my fiance's Uncle Larry, they live out in Arizona and he's a big Cardinals fan, but they've never been one of those teams that's been able to really put it together outside of a few years with Kurt Warner, like at least in my opinion, you know what I mean? Right. So him leaving Arizona, going to Minnesota with a really good offensive coach from the Sean McVay tree, I think this is going to be a really good game. And I think it's obviously so. The geniuses that make these schedules put it on Monday Night Football for that reason. Minnesota's got a real good defense. Their offense could be really good. This could be a really close game. I'm going to say that we're going to maybe lose a close one in this game.
Okay. I went with the win, but I felt totally everything you just articulated is what I felt, and it was a little bit of deja vu with that Falcons game last year,
and a little deja vu with.
But I feel like that could be a fault though, because we're basing this season on the past, and it's a different head coach. We got different players.
I'm basing it off of that Hail Murray. Remember that?
I do remember that. That was the Hopkins, and he mossed Jordan Poyer,
3 guys,
Hyde, and whoever else was the third guy.
Trey White.
Three stooges back there couldn't get one hand on the ball, and then you let him. And then little Vikings maybe fatigue with the Justin Jefferson one-hander. Cam Lewis helps him catch the ball by instead of knocking it down, he tried to catch it, and then.
How did I forget about that? That was horrible.
And that game had Josh Allen get the bad snap. Whoever you want to blame, center or Josh, But and I forget if it was McGovern at the time or if it was Mitch Morse, but bad snap on the 1 yard line. All they were trying to do is just sneak it for a yard and end the game. And they obviously fumbled. And did they fumble it? And Minnesota scored. I think Minnesota possessed it and then ran it in a yard. Maybe
they did. Yeah, the guy.
Happened?
It was like a quarterback sneak turned quarterback sneak the other way. It was.
Yeah,
it's like, oh my god, it was terrible.
Just ridiculous stuff that happens to Buffalo. But again, just because that's what happened last year, I'm not going to say that's what's going to happen. I think they handled business against the Vikings. Might be a little bit of an uglier game and we might not look right because their defense is really good. So it could be 20-17, but I think maybe we have a special play of our own on defense against Kyler Murray, hasn't been fantastic lately, or a younger quarterback. So maybe that's a little coming out party for some of our DNs that we're excited about.
Hey, I'm all about that. Get after the quarterback, man. Jeez, come on. Better late than never.
We go on the road in Minnesota. We stay on the road in week 10, and it's against the Jets, 1:00.
I'm going win. Easy dub.
I don't think we need to talk about it. Who's their starting quarterback now?
Geno Smith again.
All right, I'm going to go win for Buffalo.
Yeah, I am too. Win for Buffalo. I don't even think we need to dive into that. Like
I got one thing I'll say is I'm glad that they got rid of their defensive coordinator, and he was actually, speaking of the Falcons, he was the DC and still is, right, of the Falcons. Whatever that guy's name was, he was the Jets defensive coordinator.
Jeff Albright, I think.
Jeff Albright or Albright.
Yeah, Albright. Yeah.
Pain in the ass for Josh. That was when we lost. I believe a Monday Night Football game. It was when Rodgers,
tore his Achilles. Yeah.
It was week 1. He's running out with the flag. Week 1. 3 plays in. I think it was Leonard Floyd lands on him, twists his leg up. Guy's out for the year. And then in comes a young, totally, the fans were not behind him. What was his name? Number 2.
Oh, Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson.
Yep.
Nobody in the stadium wanted to see him throw the ball, and he wasn't very good, but we lost because
that punt return that they had.
They had a punt return, but you got to remember, Josh threw 3 picks in that game, that goes back to what I said earlier about if in that game he tried to make those extra plays, feeling like I need a big one. I need a big one to make up for we're stalling out. I need a big one, and if he could have just nickel and dimed them in that game, they didn't need much to win. They could have won it. But so I go back to, you got to know this stuff because their defensive coordinator played 2 times a year against Josh. And so the Falcons had that as a secret weapon last year. So, the Jets don't have that anymore. And last year, the Bills handed them pretty easily. So I think, Geno Smith isn't really an upgrade at all, in my opinion, to Rodgers. Or what they have last year, they had Rodgers and they also had Justin Fields, right? So I think the Bills win that.
Awesome. I do too. And kicking it over to Miami the following week. This one is back at Highmark Stadium. I'm gonna go with a win. I
got win there too.
Yep. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I think Miami is tanking. I do.
Think so?
I think they're tanking. Yeah, because they had to gut their team, and they're in salary cap hell, especially this year. They couldn't really go out and sign many free agents because they let go of Tua, they let go of Tyreek Hill. The head coach that they hired seems like he's kind of slow burning it. He's like, hey guys, we're not going to be that good this year.
Is it Weaver?
I'm not even sure what. Is it Hadley?
Hadley.
Yeah, who was the DC? He was a DC for Green Bay, so
right.
Okay, you know what I mean? Not,
I don't know. I'm not too concerned about the Dolphins this year, even if they got their head coach right. I feel like it's going to take some time, and I think we have too much.
Way too much. Yeah, way too much talent. Yeah,
and especially at home there. I think if they don't handle business like they did last year against the Dolphins, where they kind of went into Miami later in the year thinking they're just going to pull off a win in November, and then they got, embarrassed. It's like, what the hell happened there? So I've seen it happen. It's not that it couldn't happen, but I think the game at home in Buffalo, I think momentum, crowd, Bills win, and then they got the interesting Thursday nighter,
quick turnaround,
Thanksgiving Day, 4 days later, against the Kansas City Chiefs.
How do you feel about the Buffalo Bills?
By the way, in Buffalo.
Yes. How do you feel about the Buffalo Bills playing on Thanksgiving in general?
I like it.
I like it too. I
like
love it.
What do you do on Thanksgiving? You eat food with your family.
Watch
you eat a lot of food, and you watch football. So if your team's playing, and last memory I have is like 3 years ago when they won against Detroit on Thanksgiving with the walk-off field goal after Allen put Diggs on that ridiculous 45-yard play.
That was beautiful.
I mean, we're watching that. We had a table, we're eating. We set up a table in the family room to watch the game. I mean, to me, that's awesome.
What about when Josh Allen had the quarterback sneak that changed all the haters against Dallas? That was awesome.
That I know previous to that, he leaped over Anthony Barr in Minnesota, and that's really when people said that they fell in love with him and that he was the guy. But I wasn't sold on him yet. I mean, I loved him. Like, holy, this guy's ridiculous. It was like watching a freak show. Like, I feel like I'm at the circus, like putting $1 in, freaking nature. Like, what's your next trick? So I enjoyed that side of it. But as far as being the guy, quote unquote,
that was the moment
for me. Thanksgiving of whatever year that was, 2019. Where there's a fumble botch snap and Josh picks it up and he goes right over the middle of that pile, and he didn't care who the hell it was. It could have been Brian Urlacher, and he was taking that guy on head on. And he got the first, and he did the motion, and he did the confident step, and I was like, this is our guy.
The guy was getting his swagger in those moments.
That was when I knew this is the guy. So yeah, I like Thanksgiving football.
Love it. I think they're going to win against Kansas City. They have their number in the regular season. McDermott era or not, Joe Brady was a part of that, as we talked about, right, these last few years. I think KC could kind of take a little bit of a downturn. I think that Rashee Rice continues to be a huge distraction. He's about to serve a 30-day jail sentence for violating his probation. Yeah. Pat Mahomes had a very, very bad injury that I don't think people are talking about nearly enough. No player has really come back the same from that type of knee injury. So, especially one with his reasons of using his knee and his mobility and things like that.
Yeah, he's a mobile quarterback more than people realize.
More than people realize. So I think he's more of a throw on the run guy, you know what I mean? But I think that I think Buffalo's going to beat him, and I think people will be very happy on Thanksgiving. That's what I'm going with.
So I originally think I picked them to win, and it seems like the Bills, everybody knows this, is beaten into the ground. We win the regular season game, they win the postseason game. I actually have us losing. And that might be because I want us to win the postseason round. But no, I have us losing in kind of a freak way. I just, when you have it, it's just a gut thing. Like, I think I do expect us to win. But I
don't like that they're playing them on short rest. I don't like that.
I don't like that they're playing the Chiefs in short rest. I don't know who the Chiefs are playing in week 11. I don't know. Are they coming off of additional rest, or is that their bye week? I don't think we play anybody off of a bye week actually this year.
I don't either.
Does that make sense? Is that possible? Yeah. I think we don't have. So they must be playing. I don't know if you want to look it up or not.
I'll look it up. Yeah, I'll pull it up.
But, like you said, excuse me, all those reasons, Mahomes possibly being a little gimpy still.
They play Arizona 4 days before they play us. That's a layup too.
And we play the Dolphins. So
right. So we both got layups. Even. Those are like little preseason tweak. Games.
You got to take everyone seriously though, because if you
you do. I'm just teasing.
Looking ahead at Buffalo, and we're looking ahead at KC, and then we don't.
I love teasing. I love throwing shade at Dolphins fans. That's all that is.
I don't understand the extra confidence the Dolphins fans have had with talking smack. It's like you guys haven't earned it. The game that was played on the Sun like 3 years ago is all they still have is ammunition, like to talk.
He's only lost to Miami 2 or 3 times in his
I know.
8 year
So I have
career. I
no
don't get it.
reason to yap. But I got the Chiefs winning, fluky, close game, something dumb. We just talked about like that Vikings game, something like
Mhm.
that.
Gotcha. I get it.
It's not that I think the Chiefs right now are the better team, but it could be also just a little distraction at Thanksgiving for the guys. I don't know. I have us losing there just because, again, I'm not going to pick us to go 17-0.
Right.
And then I actually do have us possibly losing to the Patriots the next week with a little bit of like hangover.
I do too.
Okay.
I think that Gillette is a really hard place to play. I think it's pretty underrated as far as how hard of a place it is to play in. So I think we're
Loss.
gonna split. Yeah, we're gonna
Here's the
split with the
deal, though.
Patriots.
Looking at it now from a different lens, because you're playing on Thanksgiving, you're playing against the Patriots with extra rest.
That's
But
true.
the Patriots, I don't think, play on Thanksgiving, so they must be playing Sunday to Sunday. So we would have a rest advantage, but they have the home field advantage. So I don't know if that is a total wash, but I do think we probably split with the Patriots unless like if the Vrabel thing gets worse. Like I said, I can see us sweeping them, but I'm
Yeah,
going
they play the
there
Chargers
as of now. But
Oh, I'm sorry.
okay.
They play the Chargers the week before Sunday night, November 29th.
Okay.
So technically, they do have a day shorter rest than they
And they're
normally
playing a
would.
night game too.
They're
It's
playing a
not
night game. Yeah. So that's
maybe I
something.
flipped that, but remember I picked us to win earlier, so
hmm
that's why I'm going loss here. But if
Me too.
if the Patriots win in Buffalo, I think that'll give us extra motivation plus rest to beat them at home, like we did last year.
I think either way, just saying like a split with New England is fair. I think that's
agree.
fair. Yeah.
And then we got a really cool matchup. This is like a game I've been wanting to see as a Super
Me
Bowl
too.
for like 4 years now. Is Bills Packers. Now it is in Lambeau, which would be fun for the Bills fans that can make it to such a historic place to play. It's a Sunday night, which I actually think my favorite night game might be Sunday Night Football.
Mine has always been Sunday night. A big reason for that, Mike Tirico.
Yeah.
Mike Tirico, man. He is
not Chris Collinsworth slobbering over Mahomes.
Oh my God. You have the best with the worst. Like you got like the creme de la creme, Mike Tirico. I love Mike Tirico. He's phenomenal. And obviously the Olympics, he was phenomenal.
He
made the Olympics even better.
I feel like Chris Collinsworth could be decent like as a sidekick, but when he gets into the Mahomes stuff, it's like he can't help himself.
Patrick Mahomes, here's a guy.
It's like he's like on an addiction of it,
Did you see?
I've seen plenty.
Did you see the photo I posted? Did you happen to see that?
I don't think I did.
No, of Chris Collinsworth as Diana Rossini and Patrick Mahomes as Mike Vrabel on that rooftop.
That's awesome.
That was really funny. When I put that together, I was like, okay, this might be some of my best work.
I didn't see that, but I did see you steal my Alex Lyon photo, so I did see that.
I did. I didn't know. I was like, oh man, this photo is awesome. And then when you said that, I looked back. I was like, you did post that. That was from you.
I was happy that someone else appreciated it.
Oh, I loved it.
It was ChatGPT, so it's not like I did much. But you gotta put. Hey man, you gotta lay out a good prompt. You gotta lay out that good. Prompt.
It was perfect. And I played. I had like partial, even more love for it because the school that I went to was Lockport, and we're the Lions. So it was like.
That's cool.
I had to post that.
I'm just busting your marbles here.
No, I love it. I loved that. It was awesome.
What do you got going on? Packers, Sunday Night Football. I think, again, coin flip, but I'm going Bills win. I'm feeling that. I'm feeling a win there.
I think people will watch this game, and it's going to be such a good game that people are going to say this should be the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl. I agree.
Yeah.
That'll be the Monday night or the Monday morning shows. We'll all be talking about it as hopefully it's going to be such a great game. I don't know who will win. I'm going to pick the Bills, but I think you're right. It'll be like a 34-31 or something. Just a great, wow. Those were two Titans going at it. You know what I mean?
I'm going to play devil's advocate, and I'm going to pick Green Bay.
Okay.
I'm going to
And then
pick Green Bay,
we get him in the Super Bowl,
and
and
then we get
we
them in
beat
the
him.
Super Bowl. Yep.
All right.
Yep. That's what I'm going to go with.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just to stick with the script here. I picked a win. I'm going to stick with it for now, but I do like your analogy where if they lose, they'll win later on. That's cool.
Yep.
I interestingly went with the next week is Saturday. They got that short week. I don't know why they did it. Just CBS on a Saturday. Do you know why they did that?
I think they do it that week because there's no college football, so they
And
try to spread the games out a little bit, and kind of showcase the NFL in a week that they normally don't get showcased.
Yeah,
that's what because there's
like
that
game.
week
I
where
didn't
there's
realize
no
it was
college.
A night game. I forgot this.
Right.
It's actually it's a Saturday night game, and it'll be CBS.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. That'll be Jim Nantz and Tony Romo.
So I have us losing to the Bears. If you remember last year, we played the Bears in the preseason, and they just wiped the floor with us. Now, I know preseason is not a judge of really anything, but it was surprising because they looked ready to rock and roll, and they also had a good year. And you see Caleb is now more comfortable. He's got some playoff experience. I think it'll be similar to the Packers game where it's going to be a dogfight and two great teams. But again, when we get into those games like we did against the Rams a couple years ago, we talked about that 48-42. Well, the week before that, we beat the Lions. Wasn't that the game when Josh had 6 touchdowns?
Yep.
And then didn't he have 5 or 6 touchdowns in the Rams game? He just goes freaking nuclear.
He had 5 passing and 1 rushing, so 6. Yeah.
And he did it twice, within a couple of weeks. I've never seen any quarterback do that. Part of the reason why to me, he's just one of one in our franchise, at least. But I have kind of a game like that where both quarterbacks are going to be going nuts. And for some reason, I'm picking the Bills to lose that. Just feel like, again, I can see us winning it, absolutely. But for some reason, maybe I could flip those and go Packers loss, Bears win. But out of those 2 games, I think we're going to be 1-1.
I think they're going to win this one. It's at home. I think at this point, as far as seating and standings and stuff, I think this one is going to be huge for both conferences. As far as the standings goes, because we beat Green Bay, Chicago wins that week prior, and then if Chicago is going to need to win against us to kind of maybe clinch the NFC North, but we're going to knock them off, and I think it's going to actually help Detroit bump up a little bit more ahead of either Chicago or Green Bay. That's just how that division is a gauntlet. That's a really tough division. So I'm going to say Buffalo gets it done against Chicago.
I hope you're right, because I'd rather win at home for the home fans that can make the game. And then, if we lose against the Packers, I don't think anybody would be like, oh, their season's doom and gloom, especially if it's a close game. But I do see the split there. So I'm going to pick us, like I said, to lose. Then we got the Christmas game. So I'm going to ask you what you asked me about Thanksgiving. We both like Thanksgiving football. Do you like Christmas football?
This is really tough because if I were to choose, I'd prefer Thanksgiving football. I will say that. Yeah. I will say that. I think Christmas is really special in my family. It's a real big deal. It's special for a lot of people, not just my family, but asking me the question, Christmas is a day where I have a routine. I spend it with my family, open gifts, share memories, watch Christmas movies. But once I realized that the Bills were playing on Christmas Day a little bit more, I'm starting to get a little pumped up for it. I'm starting to feel like I'm pretty juiced up for it.
And it's at 4:30.
It's at 4:30. That's the thing too. If it was at 1, I'd be a little agitated. If it was at night, I'd be really agitated, because that's when I'm in my Christmas party mode, my family and friends and stuff. So 4:30 is pretty solid. That's the savior for me, is the time of the Christmas Day game.
So that's the Thomas take. The Dicioccio take is, I love it because, 2 of my favorite things are Christmas and the Buffalo Bills, and you could have both of them at the same day.
That's fair.
Is having two great things a bad thing? So
gets you away from the annoying aunt or uncle too. I will say that.
Yeah, you sit and lock in. You can lock right in.
Right.
But if it was a 1:00 game, a lot of people go to noon mass. We did that as a family. Right. Sometimes we would go to Christmas Eve mass or do midnight mass. And so Christmas morning to me is that, no pun intended, sacred time, right? It's supposed to be sure. A time when you're just with your family, you're not working, you're opening gifts, and especially with, I have Izzy who's 11. So that morning time is really special. I feel like at 4:30, by that point, I grew up Italian family. We're usually having Christmas dinner at 1 or 2 o'clock. So by 4:30, we're kind of into bringing out the second round of food and just loafing around watching a movie. Christmas Vacation for the 58th time. So, to me, like if the Bills game's on at 4:30, that's going to be prime TV. And now it's a Netflix game. So I'm at prime as far as great, but it's going to be a Netflix game. And I'm not a fan of that, actually. So I'm cool with football on Christmas at 4:30 or later, but I'm not really happy about Netflix getting involved with football. I just feel like it's getting too crazy now. Like I pay for a Sunday ticket, and when I'm paying whatever hundreds that last year that Sunday ticket costs, and then I had Netflix games, and everybody has this. You got ESPN. Last year it was on. I have YouTube TV, and then YouTube TV and ESPN got into a dispute. A dispute. Right. So then you had I needed to get the ESPN app and pay extra for that or whatever. And then I had it for MLB because that's connected now to ESPN. And it's like between the sports you like to watch and the apps that they're on, and then Netflix got involved. It's like I already had Netflix, so to me it wasn't about paying more. It's just more about the experience. I already have the stations that I like the games being played on, and that football needs to be a little more traditional and keeping it to the networks. And then also, like, does it really need to be on Netflix? Couldn't you just couldn't that be a Prime game? Like, give it to Prime. You already have a deal with them.
Yeah. The thing that really, I really appreciate you bringing up that point, because I talk about it a lot with, coworkers and friends and family too. Like, you look at this schedule and seeing that they play on Netflix, like, let's just say hypothetically, let's say if my grandfather was still alive, right? And he's looking at the schedule and he's like, Ryan, I don't know how to get Netflix. I don't know how to do a subscription. I don't know how to cycle through. So I'll need you over here at 4, or 3:30 or whatever. Like, it puts older people that were forced to learn all this technology stuff, smartphones, computers, tablets, the computer, desktop computer that my grandpa used to spend $3,000 on back in the 90s. That's foreign to what we have now, obviously. So it forces older people to have to come up with something on the fly of getting a subscription. And that's kind of frustrating.
But the name of the company is Netflix. It's Internet Movies is another way to articulate the word net and flicks. It's Internet Movies.
It's a huge contradiction.
Now you're going, okay, well, we're going to bid the most, and they got the money to do it, and the NFL is going to take highest bidder. Thank you, Christmas Day, boom. But to me, it's I think the majority of NFL fans have it. The grandparents that don't have it are going to be frustrated. Maybe the benefit of the fact that it's on Christmas, they'll be at a house that, hey, we got Netflix or whatever. Or, hopefully they have a TV that you can cast to. That's the other thing. If it's an older setup TV that doesn't have casting, it's not like you can just, if you're at grandma and grandpa's house and they have, maybe it's a flat screen, but it doesn't have smart TV functionality built in, and they don't have a Chromecast, maybe you're going to bring it with you, right? Got to be prepared. But I just think to me, it's NFL's getting
very gimmicky,
it's beyond greedy now, to the fact where we grew up. I just told you I'm 40, so I grew up in the 90s where '80s and '90s where it was like the big players were CBS and Fox, and then you get your ESPN game. And that was the only one you had to kind of circle because it's like, oh yeah, and
ESPN, right?
and now you got in the Bills. Like it was a big deal if they were on it because they're only on it
Mhm.
like once every
4 years. 8
Yeah,
years, yeah. Yeah.
I was actually at the Monday night game. I really interesting thing. Quick side story is when
Yeah.
I was at Boston State College, I went for video production, and Meg Knowles was her name, my teacher. She had a connection at ESPN, and they were looking for some production people while they were in town for the Monday night game against Dallas. It was when
Oh,
Tony
07?
Romo and
Yeah.
Tony
Oh
Romo
my gosh.
and T.O. And
Wade
so
Phillips.
yeah,
Yep.
and obviously Jerry Jones was on the field. So I was on the field working one of the camera units. The guy who's up on the pedestal and he drives back and forth to get the main
Yeah.
shot. So I was on that part of that team where there's 100 yards of cable that goes back and forth, and we had to basically make sure it didn't get knotted up or ruined. Like we were running back and forth. It was a pain in the ass, kind of a grueling thing to do. What stunk is you couldn't really pay attention to the game that much. So every time a pass was completed, this guy is booking it, and you got to make sure you're on that cable. And but it was a heartbreaker because we lost. If you remember, Romo had, I think, 5 interceptions.
5 interceptions.
And they won with Nick Folk walk-off. And I think we had Edwards, and just he couldn't do anything with the possessions he got.
Right.
And
we had Edwards, we had Marshawn, Lee Evans. Yep.
Couldn't get it done after turning it over. It's like the opposite of the Denver game. Like Josh turns it over, a bunch, and the other team capitalized.
Right.
Bills didn't. But funny story about that game is front row, there was a guy who was wearing a TO jersey, but I think it was an Eagles TO jersey at the time. And he was just bad mouthing every Bills fan in the stadium. And I could tell like that people were getting frustrated by him, and he was like really rowdy, and he was spitting down on the field in the area where we were standing with the camera unit, to the fact where I actually called over one of the police officers there, just like, can you keep an eye on this guy because he's trying to spit on us. And I don't want to get loogied on. I didn't sign up for this job today to get freaking loogied on by some drunk guy. So they kind of kept an eye on him, and he was getting rowdier and rowdier as the game went, drunker and drunker as the game went. Well, they won, so he probably was talking smack, to a bunch of Bills fans. Well, that's not a good idea either. And he ended up getting lit up. He just was gushing blood. At the end of the game, I looked up. This guy was getting carried out of the stadium. He looked like he looked like he won a few rounds.
I love it.
I was so happy. I'm like, that guy. He had that coming. Like I don't like to see someone get bloody typically, but that guy deserved every bit of it.
When you bring it on yourself in that regard, it's fair. It's fair.
I was surprised it didn't happen sooner, but he got payday.
What a story.
All right, so back to the schedule here. So Christmas Day, I think we're both excited about it. 4:30 is a good time. It's on Netflix. We'll deal with it. We're gonna beat the Broncos. Yeah.
Yep, we're gonna beat them. It's gonna be a Christmas revenge game against Denver, and onward and upward, man. May everyone's holiday be merry, and go Bills.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get a good Christmas gift there. Now, is it John Fox?
John Fox, yep.
He is now an assistant coach with the Bills, which is pretty cool because
we
talked earlier about one of the challenges of a head coach is if you're going to be calling plays, you got to also be game management and timeouts, and you got to have management of everything. People were critical about McDermott not being great at that, especially early in his career. He got better. But I like the fact that you're going to have John Fox kind of be your overall head coach, like solid, mentor.
Good mentor assistant.
I think that's gonna be really strong for us.
Yeah, and fun fact about John Fox: back when the Bills decided to part ways with Wade Phillips, there was 2 guys that they interviewed for the job. One was Greg Williams. One was John Fox. Wow. John Fox went to Carolina, and we hired Greg Williams. So that's a real wonder what would have happened there.
Wonder what would have happened. John Fox brought the Carolina Panthers he got them to the Super Bowl. Jake Delhomme, but they lost to the New England Patriots. And I love that Panthers team.
I did too.
what was his name? James Stewart running the ball. 34.
John Stewart. I think he
John
might have been a
Stewart.
little bit later, but I did love him too.
Was he
I
not
did
on that
love him
team?
too. They had a guy. The one guy I remember that they had was Stephen Davis.
Didn't they
He
have
was a
them
running
both
back.
though? It was like
They
who had
did. They did have them
machine?
both, but I don't know if John Stewart was there yet in that Super Bowl.
Okay.
But he was.
I know
mean,
who they had.
trust me, I love
they
him.
had
I loved.
Muhammad and they had Pearl, right?
Yeah, Muhammad and Pearl.
Were fun.
It were really
And
fun.
Jake Delhomme, and obviously we didn't want to see the Patriots win, so we were all rooting for the Panthers.
We were rooting for
night.
them. Yeah, for sure. Some of the best jerseys in the league too. That's for sure. For sure.
My buddy and one of my friends in elementary school was a Panthers fan, so that was
one of my buddies. One of my buddies is too. That's pretty funny.
That was, I think I was in high school at that point, but I always remember like I was rooting for him.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I think Christmas we get the gift of a Bills win, and then we got that Dolphins game. It's going to be January 3rd. We don't know what the weather will be like, but probably 70 degrees, maybe even warmer.
There's a good chance I might be going to this game. It's
cool.
like a New Year's kind of trip. Yeah. So
get out of the cold for a little bit.
Get out of the cold for a little bit. I think that, when you look at the cool thing about this schedule, I wanted to illustrate this too, is that you see which game is the most expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Week 2 against Detroit, and then you go, and then you go backwards as it goes down, and a good, price point, tickets as low as 106. Bills Mafia, hop in the plane and make it happen.
Dolphins tickets are Bills Dolphins in Miami on the 3rd. Right now we're going for $100.
106.
That's a nice Christmas gift, right?
I think
Merry
so.
Christmas. Next week you're going to the Bills game, and you get to work on your tan for 48 hours. That's cool. I think we're going to win that.
Me too.
And then what's weird is this now 3 years in a row that we end with the Jets?
3 years in a row, and 3 years in a row, final week of the season, which is always subject to flex. So,
and I don't think it's 3 in a row at home though. Last year we did the red helmets. I think 2 years ago was maybe there. Is that true?
Yep. That's right. That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
And we spanked the Jets to the fact where Trubisky looked really good.
He looked fantastic.
I don't know how they let him go after that.
Yeah, I thought the exact same thing. Like, he looked fantastic.
Isn't he everything you want in a backup quarterback? To me,
I would think so.
You never want to see your backup quarterback, but if you ever have to see him, in this case, it wasn't due to injury. Thankfully, it was just week 18 rest. But whenever you have to see him, and he looks as good as he did, it makes you think, damn, if Josh went down for a little bit, like, I like that guy right there. Now we got one back to Kyle Allen, who I don't remember seeing a quarter of play just in a preseason game where he looked enough to me where I'd feel good about it.
Yeah, he was in Washington for a little while, and I'm not too confident on that.
I know he's good in the room with Josh in the quarterback room, and he might be good on the sidelines, and that's super important to help Josh get ready. And I know they're like good buddies. That's fine. But, people, I know it's a money thing. Trubisky,
you want to feel comfortable, right? You want to feel comfortable.
We're ready to win a Super Bowl. Like, I don't think you can have that kind of drop off. And I guess some people's theory is if Josh goes down, we're not winning the Super Bowl. And but I don't know. I mean, Trubisky, it's the Jets. It's week 18. They pretty much were tanking at that point. But these are NFL players. Nobody wants to get embarrassed.
Mitch Trubisky started a lot of games for years in Chicago and Pittsburgh.
First-round draft pick. He played in Chicago. Like,
he was picked higher than Allen was.
Right, and I think he's the kind of guy. You got him on your team. He's been here a long time. He knows the system. I think they could have maybe talked him into staying for a little less money, and if that's the case, why he went, because the bigger payday, and he's got a family to take care of. I get it. But maybe match that, and you don't give that to like a defensive end that's not going to make the roster anyways, or something like. I agree. I'm sure Bean's looking at it every which way, but to me, those backup quarterbacks, I like having a guy with more experience than what we got right now. I don't feel great about it.
The only thing I could think is that maybe he really just wanted to pick a spot where he could start. But then when he went to Tennessee, they got Cam Ward. It's like, I
Yeah,
don't
I
know
guess
if
he's looking at
Tennessee
it
was
like
the
if
spot.
what if 3 weeks in and Cam Ward's not playing well though? Then he
Then
does have a
maybe he'll
chance,
start, right?
right?
And I think his wife was from Nashville too, so that
Yeah,
explains it. So
that you just answered the question.
yeah, I answered
Happy wifey,
it.
happy lifey.
Yes.
So I got
So
us
so
beating the Jets. I don't care what time you want to play the game. If you want to play it on a Tuesday, we are winning Week 18 versus the Jets at
we
home.
could play it at like 4 a.m. in Abu Dhabi, and I think they'd beat the
Yeah,
Jets.
I certainly hope so because I think the Jets are also going to be like a 4-win team if that again.
I
And
think
they're probably
this,
going to be like maybe on an interim head coach, possibly.
yes, this is a take right here. So looking into the future, crystal ball, I think the Jets or the Dolphins will finish with the worst record in the National Football League. One of those two teams. Whoever finishes with the worst record in the NFL is going to get Arch Manning, the third
Mm.
generation Manning. So I think the Dolphins might be a little bit better than the Jets because they do have a more workable quarterback with Malik Willis.
Maybe
But
just a better overall roster, possibly too.
yeah, that too. And I know that they have an out in Malik Willis's contract after this year. They could get out of it. And Geno Smith was on a 1-year deal as well. So Miami and the Jets are not tied to either one of those quarterbacks. So if they finish with the worst record, one of them finishes with the worst record.
You
It
think
could it,
Arch is going to the first overall team?
I do. I
Mm-hmm.
do because he's gonna have especially if he has a very good year, obviously, that goes without saying, but just the way the NFL works, and this is a cool thing, and it's also kind of silly, right? That
Mm-hmm.
they're kind of a copycat league, right? Where like if this guy's a Manning, he's got the pedigree, he's 6'4", he studies his ass off, he works
History
really
means a
hard.
lot.
History means a lot,
Yeah.
yeah. And even Eli, like I went back and looked at that, and he just did an interview recently on the Bussin' with the Boys and talked
Mm-hmm.
about why he didn't go to San Diego, and it was his decision, not his dad's, and stuff
I
like
like
that.
Eli a lot,
I
actually.
like
Yeah.
Eli a lot too,
Yeah.
but he wasn't Peyton, right?
No. But I'll
he
tell
was
you what,
good,
man.
but he had a great career.
Thank God for Eli Manning because Tom Brady
Without
could have
him,
9 Super Bowls championships. And it's just funny to me that as good as Brady is, he does have to eat crow every time he's in person.
around Eli Manning,
Eli just walks in the room and just smiles at him, and it just irks him, and I
there's
love
always that one guy that's
and he wasn't
sticks it
better
to
than
you.
Brady. He wasn't more
No,
talented than
yeah,
Brady, but he won, and it goes back to the fact that football is an absolute team game, and
sure.
those Giants defenses were so stingy, and I know earlier I was saying Josh needs to hone in his game where if he's at a 97%, there's 3 more percent that he can get better at, right? Well, how about a defense? Can we go from 60% to maybe an 85% defense where then Josh doesn't have to feel like Superman all the time,
Right.
Then
Looking at this schedule too, I got to pop it back up here. It went away, but I think I had them losing. Was it 4 games?
So I have them at 13-4, but I could see them losing to. We mentioned the Packers, Ravens, Rams, Dolphins. I picked all his wins, but I could see them possibly losing any of those 2 games. So I have their ceiling at 13-4 and their floor around 11-6.
Yeah, I would
As
agree.
what you had I think you had a win for the Texans, right? So your losses were Rams.
Yep.
Your second loss was the Vikings, I think.
Yep.
You had them winning against the Chiefs, losing against the Packers, so that's 3. And then I don't know. Did you have another loss in there? You said win.
No,
you had
I
win.
had to win the whole way. The win against Chicago.
14-3, huh?
I do. Looking at it the way that we looked at it.
Yeah.
This is the year they would get the 1 seed.
I believe that they can do that. And I think, offensively, I see it. We don't know what their defense looks like. First year DC doesn't mean that he's going to be inexperienced, like that he has to have a look of inexperience. You know what I mean? He will be inexperienced, but he also does have a ton of football experience. So it's weird to say that.
the one thing I keep thinking with Jim Leonard,
Yeah.
and when we were talking about it, was he was and like this the way the league works too. What we were talking about with like Arch Manning and
Yeah.
Harbaugh goes from one place to another and all that. Uh, Jim Leonard was in really high demand.
He was.
You know what I mean? So I think
Yeah, I'm not
that
saying
definitely
I think
matters.
he will be good overall.
Yeah.
I feel like we're gonna be happy about him. But
Hmm.
I don't know. You got Joe Brady, first time head coach. You got a first time DC. Like as much as I believe in this team, because again, we believe in Josh. We got James
Hmm.
Cook. We got a better wide receiver room. The tight ends stay put. The O line, I think, might be a little bit of a downgrade, but I feel like when they gel, they'll be okay. So I think, again, we're going to be putting up 27, 30 points on the regular. Um, I don't know that, like, going 14-3 to me, you got to be buttoned up across the
Got to be
board.
buttoned up,
Yeah,
but that would be like my best case scenario
right.
based on how
Hmm.
I think it could go down. If I looked at worst case scenario, I agree
Hmm.
with you that Houston is daunting week one, no doubt. Baltimore could be daunting depending on what they are.
There's a
I don't.
lot of, like we said,
Yeah,
most of these games,
it's a
like,
tough schedule. It is. It
yeah,
is.
there's
But
only some divisional games where I feel like we are supposed to win. Every
mhm,
other game, I feel like, as long as we don't beat ourselves, we win. But there's a lot of games where it's like even if we play well, we can lose. Yeah, the
right,
Packers games like that. I think the Bears game is that. Ravens, Rams, Lions. Like you could play well and still lose against those teams because they just put up everything stacks up a little bit better, right?
sure,
If they play their best game and you're like a little less than perfect, you could lose. So
right.
yeah, this is tough. I mean, I would you be surprised if the Bills maybe went 9-8?
No,
It would suck. We would hate it,
no,
but I
I
wouldn't
would
be
not.
totally surprised either.
There's a real take here that I hate saying it,
Yeah.
but if the Bills go 9-8, I think Joe Brady might be one and done.
And I don't know that that would be the right decision either because it's
No,
like,
but
when
that's the
McDermott won
type
9
of
games, we were like doing a parade for the guy, and then
right.
Brady could come in. But again, he's inheriting a totally different team, so
And
I
like the
understand it.
expectation, like based on what Josh has done,
Mhm.
is just
Is win a
so
conference
high.
championship.
Yeah, right, right. So the pressure's on, and I'm super excited for the season.
I think nine
We
and eight.
both.
I wouldn't be surprised if Pagula again does something crazy, but
Mhm.
I think it depends on how the games looked. If they're outclassed a lot, I think I could see it. If they're in, it was just a tough year, great, like really hard schedule. They lost some. Hopefully, there's not kicking issues, but who knows what Bass is going to look like. Like if we're losing because of that, I don't know. I would be very surprised if Joe Brady only lasts a year. Because it seems like they gave McDermott a long leash for a while until it
Mhm.
wasn't long enough. But yeah, you're not crazy in saying that that could happen.
Depending on how they go 9-8, you know
Hmm.
what I mean. Like if they lost like their last 4 or 5 games of the year,
If they lose both games
and
to New England,
and
lose a
Josh
game,
Allen looks like he's about to kill somebody, then
yeah,
like you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like then it could get really ugly, and that's like the worst case scenario. But I think they're going to have a very good year. I think a lot of the things they did this off season. I think Brandon Bean, frankly, to what you were saying with the only 3 Pro Bowlers in 8 years type thing. I think he knows that the pressure's on him too, because if there's any case about McDermott that could be made, it could be made about Bean too. I think that's where I
I
that's where
think
I
that's why
sit.
it didn't sit well with a lot of people because he got a promotion.
Right.
And I think he was as responsible, if not more,
It
actually,
felt like McDermott was the fall guy.
for sure.
And I think
I
he's
don't know
too
that it would have been good though to get rid of both of them either, because
well
I'm
because then
someone
that's a
who
that's a hard reset.
that's a hard reset. The
Hmm.
only thing you got going then is like you're banking it on Josh, basically. But
To me,
like,
there were other years where they could have fired McDermott, and I would have said, "Okay." Other games, 13 seconds, I would have said,
I
"Okay."
I
Like,
just found out recently that 13 seconds was 100% on McDermott.
Mm-hmm.
I thought maybe it wasn't. I thought maybe they called him off or he trusted in his coordinators. No, he's the one who said kick it out of
To
the
get
end
through the end
zone.
zone. Mm-hmm.
And he's the one who told Frazier, nope, we're calling this super prevent.
Prevent
I mean,
defense.
they said go to the next neighborhood. You're not even in the same
Right.
zip code. To the DBs and linebackers were eating French fries in the third row.
The special teams coach was fired because of that.
Yeah, and he didn't
And
even.
it wasn't even his fault.
Right. So I think that's why internally there's some weird stuff where McDermott survived through some of the stuff that he shouldn't have. But then, so you get rid of him, but I don't like the idea of if they got rid of the coach, which again, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't get the job done, really the last 5 years. So at some point something's got to change. But I would also been okay if they kept McDermott and got rid of Bean. And they could have said, look, he just lately, what have you done for me lately? And hasn't been a lot of like big names that we're all jazzed up about. I mean, every year it seems like there's guys that don't even see the field. And, you got, what's his name? Justin Shorter out of Florida,
Mm-hmm.
Wide receiver. Like, how does that? He was a really productive player in college and we were excited about the pick and they couldn't even get him to be on the team. So,
yeah,
I don't understand how that doesn't fall on Brandon Beane. So, but I don't like the idea. If you're going to pick one and they were decided on McDermott's gone, I'm okay with Beane staying. I don't know that he needed the promotion. That was weird. But because when I look at who's beat the Bills historically in my lifetime, it's always teams with longtime head coaches and consistency. New England forever had Belichick. They had McDaniels. Right. They had the same coordinators a lot, and obviously the quarterback play. And you look at, the Packers when they had Rodgers, Mike
McCarthy, LaFleur. Yeah.
But then they changed to LaFleur, and then they kind of had a little bit of a falling out. Mm-hmm. And then Rodgers is like, because of inconsistency, he wasn't as good.
Case in point, only reason he came back was because he's working with Mike McCarthy again.
And so, like, consistency is a good thing. Now, if you're not getting the job done, I also understand where they're coming from, where it's like, we don't want to keep knocking our head against the wall and doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. So that to me is like, all right, our consistency is Joe Brady and Brandon Beane. But if Beane doesn't hit some home runs on some guys where we can say we're the ones that drafted Stephon Diggs in the 4th round because we got him, but we had to lose a 1st-round pick for him, right?
They lost a lot of picks. Yeah, they traded. It's like they traded almost the whole draft and a half away.
Diggs, but you weren't the guys who drafted him smartly in the 4th.
Right.
You got Shakir in the 5th, and you've done some good things later. They seem to do their drafts backwards. They draft better later than they do early. Mm-hmm. But for every Shakir, you got an Elam that you're like over the moon, and then he's a bust.
One thing I was thinking of the other day was with Matt Milano, who I've always loved, and he's kind of at the tail end now, but
he was a late round pick too.
He was a late round pick. He was a late round pick. He hit. He was great. But then when it was time for his contract to be paid, and re-signed, they gave him so much money, too much money. You know what I mean? Like money that like, yeah, you want to re-sign that guy, but like just too much for later of what they had to pay people. To where they couldn't bring back Tremaine Edmonds or, couldn't bring back a Trey White who left.
I don't understand. I don't know. I don't recall when they did the Milano contract that I was that bothered by it because he really was one of our marquee players.
For sure.
He's had injuries that have slowed him down. Mm-hmm. But what I don't understand is when you get these 1-year guys in here, like Joey Bosa last year, I think he was better than maybe I thought. Okay. And what I mean by that is he stayed healthy for the most part. And he had moments when he was actually the one causing havoc. He was forcing fumbles. In the Steelers game, he was the nail in the coffin. If you remember, he strip sacked Rodgers and then Benford runs it in, right? So like he had moments, and then he was a wrecker against the Jets in that game when Josh was like, okay, remember Josh had like the busted nose. I remember Bosa. I'm pretty sure that was the game where he made some nice plays just to kind of keep the Jets from ever having any energy. He just kept them
Right.
down. And then it's like, okay, what did you want the guy to do? I think he kind of had the season you were hoping. Maybe he could have been a little bit better in the playoffs, but like he was pretty much the guy that you wanted on a 1-year deal. And then he does his job, and then you don't resign him. Same thing with the guy I just mentioned earlier that knocked, funny enough, Rodgers again. Rodgers week 1 against the
Leonard
Jets.
Floyd, right?
Leonard Floyd. He had
Yep.
10 sacks, 10 or 11 sacks in a 1-year deal. He loved playing in Buffalo. Every interview I saw him do, he was like,
Yeah, he was
happy to
juiced.
be in Buffalo. And
Yep.
then they don't re-sign him. And that's what I don't get about Bean is like, you got the guy in a 1-year deal. He did what you wanted. 10 sacks is what you expect from a veteran defensive end. Rousseau's not even doing that, and we're keeping him on a long-year deal or long contract, 4 or 5 year extension. And I just don't get. To me, it's like when guys perform, wouldn't they sign another 1-year deal? Like Bosa's a free agent right now. Wouldn't you rather just have him than hope that Landon Jackson could become something? I don't feel great about that. I hope that
agree.
I'm wrong.
I agree.
I'd rather want to, if we want to win a Super Bowl, I'd feel better right now at Bosa, and then like you could still practice squad Landon Jackson.
Think of it this way: they went from Von Miller to Joey Bosa to Bradley Chubb.
Mm-hmm. It's all it's the
same thing. Yeah, it's like plug and play. 1-year deal.
I'm not super high on Chubb, and I think it's just my Bills Dolphins bias where I never was that. He wasn't much on my radar. Like I see pictures of him whenever they talk about him now being a Buffalo Bill. They love to show him sacking Josh Allen, or Josh is laying on the ground with him standing over him or whatever, because it makes for good TV. But I don't really remember him being a pain in the ass that much. So to me,
I don't either.
Now that he's on our team, like I hope he becomes, a guy that can get 10 sacks, but I'm not banking on it for him to get 10 sacks. Maybe 7, 8 would be great from him.
It would. Man, what a show. What a show. What a show.
I feel like we should just do our own podcast.
I think that could be in the works for sure. Mike,
I love doing business, but I as you can tell, I love talking Buffalo sports.
Yeah, dude, I had not done a show, kind of like long form in a while, and I hadn't done a show in a little while. So like you coming on, I knew that it would go, that we chatted up, and man, I really appreciate you dedicating your time to hopping on tonight.
I say quick recap. I'm excited about Lindy Ruff 2 more years.
Yes.
I think, he's going to have, I think both of those years we're going to be in the playoffs. I expect it, at least one of the two. We'll have another shot, which I'm excited about for Buffalo. And then super excited for the new stadium. So appreciate you being on the show. A lot of good stuff to talk about tonight, and looking forward to following your Thomas takes throughout the season.
Yes, definitely. Thanks for hopping on. Really appreciate it. And of course, all good things are coming. I think the state of Buffalo sports is very, very good. I feel very positive about the Sabres, which I haven't been able to say that in a long time. And obviously we're in the Josh Allen era, so there's a lot of reasons to be happy about the Bills, and hopefully both teams can get it done. Maybe that psychic that guy tweeted about was just 1 year off, right?
Oh, you know what? That's right. He did say the Sabres were going to win this year, right?
Right. Maybe it was just 1 year off. Maybe it's just 1 year off.
He had the Bills winning the Super Bowl in 27, right?
He did. So it's possible.
Where is the Super Bowl this year?
It's in LA.
Okay.
Yep.
And we're playing there on that Monday Night Football game, so we'll get a little taste of it. We've been there before, but so we'll
get a little taste.
We'll get a little taste of what the Super Bowl could bring.
I love it, man. I love it.
Winning that game too, so
you do.
We'll get a taste of winning on that field.
I think they'll. I picked them to lose that one, so that they'll go back and win there. That's what I'll say.
And I'll end with this. We talked about Houston. I'll be in Houston.
Good luck to you in that journey and
thanks, man.
everything.
I don't know that I'll be there yet, because that's like when we're planning on moving. But if everything goes smoothly, I could get down there and hopefully get to the game. I don't love that that's our week 1, because that's a hell of a defense. And Josh struggles versus them and never won in the building. But in a good way, it's almost like as long as he can stay healthy, obviously, and hopefully he protects himself knowing it's week 1 and they got the whole year ahead. But it's kind of good to just get that game out. If they lose, throw it away, go back to your home opener at your new stadium, and you kind of forget that Houston game happens if they lose. But on the flip, if they win, and that's been a monkey that you finally get off your back, I think that can spark a special season as well. So it's
for sure
kind of good. Get it going early, and if it's bad, you don't worry about it. If it's good, you run with it. So
I love it.
All right, brother. Hey, I end my show with 2 things. I always say, be great, and you're doing that because you're great at doing your show.
Thank you, buddy.
I say, be grateful, and I'm grateful for having you as a friend.
Thank you, buddy. I really appreciate that. Everybody check out Mic'd Up. Follow Mike on Instagram at Mike Dicioccio.
Dicioccio, you got it.
I said it. All right, good stuff. And your podcast is available on all podcasting platforms.
Yep, I do a YouTube version, and then it's on Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you can listen to shows as well.
I love it, man. Thank you so much for hopping on, Mike. I'm going to have a field day promoting this because we talked about a lot of stuff. So I'm going to make sure I get all those little clips out to you and stuff too. All right, bud?
You got 2 hours and 52 minutes of content you can cut up.
I love it. I love it.
All right, brother. Cheers.
Cheers. Go Bills. Take care.
Bye.
All right. That was Mike Dicioccio. I am out. That was a great show. Hope you enjoyed it. Go Bills.